This is Slam Pigs Podcast.
Saturday night, Slam Pigs Podcast, episode 41. Michael, we are back. Last week was our 40th episode. Shout out to Rashenda Silva for coming on last week. Ravishing Rashenda coming on last week. It was a fun time. It's always a pleasure to have someone on. And this week, we're right back with the guest, Michael. But first, before we get into any of that good stuff, how have you been? How was your week? How's things going? A lot's happened. Once again, we get a buffet of fucking shit to talk about, basically.
We are live. We are here on the Slam Pigs Podcast, episode 41. Kind of a little underwhelming when you say 40. Like, we had the 40th last week, and it was so exciting, and now it's 41.
Is 40 that overwhelming?
I don't know. It's a round number. It's a round number. It's
anyway,
exciting.
Not really a mile.
I mean, it's not like 50 or, 20, but 40 deserves a little love. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about this week. A lot of news and rumors. We got a lot of
stuff to talk about. A lot of Raw, SmackDown, a lot of Hall of Fame inductions this week. Well, Michael, real quick, before we get into any of that good stuff, where can everyone follow you at on Twitter?
You can always find me at Mike the Slam Pig on Twitter. You can find us on the Facebook group, the Slam Pigs Podcast, or on
at Slam Pigs Podcast on Twitter. And follow me on Twitter at the HibickyTMD. But real quick, this week, guys,
we got a guest.
We have a guest.
Again.
Do we ever?
Just racking up the guests.
Do we ever have a guest this week? First time ever related to anything guest on a collab, HibickyTMD. Welcome to the Slam Pigs Podcast. GRAPPLEVISION from YouTube, the extremely ever so popular channel that's growing more and more each day. Welcome, my man. Thank you for, first of all, for coming on doing the show for some small fries like us, but Hollywood over here with GRAPPLEVISION. Shout out to you. How are you doing?
Mr. Fucking Big Time.
Hey, how are you guys? It's awesome to be here. Definitely glad to be doing it, and not too Hollywood for the Slam Pigs just yet. We ain't blown up too big over here.
No air guitar for you just yet there with the belt.
Yeah, not quite. We ain't got the big gold yet. Can't play air guitar on the TV title. Nobody really cares about that.
Don't blow your Van Hammer load yet and play air guitar till it's the proper time.
Oh, that's awful.
Sorry.
Oh.
But real quick, Mr. GRAPPLEVISION, where can we find you at?
On Twitter?
On Twitter, I'm actually at Tonka Saw because I didn't see any of this GRAPPLEVISION shit coming. So I didn't plot that so well. But it's GRAPPLEVISION at Tonka Saw on Twitter. I got no idea really how to use Twitter, so I just say some things on there sometimes.
It's like sending a text out into the world and see.
Essentially, yeah.
I'm new to
that's what I do.
Well.
I send text messages to the world through my Twitter thing.
Yeah, I've been on Twitter for about 2 months now. I'm still getting used to it.
Well, for any of our listeners that's never checked out GRAPPLEVISION's content on his channel, what he does basically, he takes like a bunch of clips, usually the topics of like an obscure, maybe a scandal. When wrestling gets real, you're up to what, volume 4 or something on that? Maybe 5?
We just hit 5 yesterday.
Just really,
So,
I cannot.
What do you have like a GRAPPLEVISION team that does this? What is?
There's me, and there's another family member of mine who inspires me a little bit on these. They're not really the best with computers, but they remember some of the things that I don't remember so well. So I got to say we.
So you
Pull the curtain back a little bit on GRAPPLEVISION, what goes on. But basically, it's like compilation videos. One of my favorites was the Dr. D. Dave Schultz video. And if you don't know who Dr. D. Dave Schultz is, you need to study up.
You are missing out.
Because I don't know how you could be a fan of Steve Austin and not even know who Dr. D is, honestly. But sadly, a lot of people don't know who he is.
Steve Austin just was smart enough to not have any Jew hair.
Admittedly, one of Steve Austin's biggest inspirations. Really? Did you just?
Well, sorry.
I think he
had
did.
The curly Jew. The Jew fro.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
he had the
it was
Slater.
blonde.
He had the AC Slater.
It was blonde though.
But it was blonde, yes. But yeah,
I don't know.
Like I said, check out his stuff. It's good wrestling content. But yeah, guys.
But when you watch it, try not to hate quite so hard. I wasn't trying to depict Dr. D in a bad light. You have to remember, he was a bad guy. And he came from an era where it was okay to be a bad guy if you were a bad guy. So just remember that.
I don't think it's possible to watch any promo of Dr. D and not come away from it thinking he's a little bit A, crazy, B, and maybe that way in real life. But the most controversial vignettes,
totally.
like his beating his wife, of course, that vignette with Gene Erkelen at the house, and she has like a black eye, and there's all the insinuation. That was so
that was done today.
that could never be done today.
Jesus
I cut out the part where like he's yelling at the kids and stuff through everything, and it was, again, it's a thing where they're portraying a bad guy. Now, he could be the worst prick in the world away from the ring, but I'm just watching a show, and like when I watch a movie, and Jeff Goldblum decides to be an insane rapist in said movie, I'm not going to go burn Jurassic Park now because of this role I didn't like. No, I can enjoy the bad guy role because guess what? He's probably going to lose here in about 20 minutes, so it's okay. Nobody's going to, the triggering can cease. Just bring it down.
Yeah.
All right.
But check his shit out, guys. Check out Dr. D. Dave Schultz. I have a good feeling that's going to be a promo break this week, Michael, honestly.
I thought you had yours ready.
My promo break?
Yeah.
We're not even close to that.
You said you had one ready to go for this week because I remember seeing it on Twitter.
Before we get into any of the Raw or SmackDown this week, like I said at the top of the show, we missed a lot of stuff this week. So let's just go ahead and talk about it and get it out of the way because it's been the biggest news story of the week. Besides the UK tournament that we haven't talked about, Kurt Angle is announced as the second DDP's going in too, right? Or has that been officially?
He's the featured guy.
Thank you. The featured Hall of Fame inductee for 2017. I mean,
hasn't been in the company in how long? But he's the featured guy.
A while. 11 years.
Yeah.
11 years.
I mean, mixed feelings on this. I'm sure everyone has it. Just one, it has nothing to do with Kurt Angle's work or his legacy in wrestling. It's just, this is your featured guy and he hasn't worked for your company in working on 15 years.
Oh, Sting. Hello.
I mean, I get that, but Sting was already back on television.
He had 2 fucking matches in WWE.
Yeah, but he was back.
Sting is Sting
on television.
And I would argue that Kurt Angle's Kurt Angle though. Like the people still know who he is.
Kurt Angle's like biggest success was in WWF/E. So I don't know why anyone like that. It's weird to me that he wouldn't be the headliner instead of DDP.
Well, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be the headliner. It was just a little surprising to me.
Is that set in stone too? Like who the headliner really is?
Well, it's usually the guy that you mentioned first.
Usually. I don't know.
I also think it's weird that they're putting both of them in like at the same time. And then the rumored class that's going, like people talking about like Rick Rude and Chris, and I'm like, who's gonna headline for the next few years?
Yeah, that's
smart.
the bitch about this. They're gonna run out of guys, and eventually you're gonna run down to like Savio Vega, and now what do we do?
Imagine when he headlines, that fucking place will be packed.
You think which member?
People are already talking about Beth Phoenix going into the Hall of Fame, and it's not like not a knock on her.
She's with Edge, so I mean, she's gonna get her.
I don't understand.
Well, she'll totally get in, but she doesn't have to go in now. Like, dude, Alundra Blaze, it was like 20 years ago when she wrestled. Like, wait a while.
I have seen the rumor, 3 possible inductees this year: the Natural Disasters, Speak the Devil, and IRS. As 3 more names this year.
Another Rotundo going in.
Another.
Well, I like
we had Ravishing Rotundo on last week.
She's not in the Hall of Fame.
Well, she should be.
Really?
No.
Was IRS? He's like the right level to go in with the class and everything.
He's that perfect.
But I feel like
he's that mid-level intercontinental guy.
He that everybody knows is a really good wrestler, and he was really good. But you can't really headline the Hall of Fame with Mike. That's not really going to fly.
If you're going to headline it,
you don't like Mike Rotundo? He was part of the U.S. Express.
And if you're going to headline it,
huge.
It needs to be Captain Mike Rotundo.
He was with Cleanberry too, not Dirty Berry.
Cleanberry.
Wait, which captain? Are we talking boat captain or team captain?
I'm talking, Varsity Club. That's a whole other. Mike Rotundo.
Well, see,
But
I'm a fan of boat. I'm a boat captain guy, personally.
what if he was captaining a boat with a varsity football team on board? To just bring it all together. You have Steve Williams on there with him, the whole varsity club. I don't know. Where are we at
You
right now?
guys are just getting.
See, that is some next level. Jim Hurd might even fire you over that shit kind of
That
stuff.
makes the ding dongs look like fucking
You
demolition.
get fired by Jim Hurt, you're done.
You get fired by Jim Hurd. Well, Flair was technically kind of quit/fired. He would have fired him anyway. I don't know. Fuck Jim Hurd. We'll talk about Jim Hurd. Yeah, the Hall of Fame inductees. I mean, Kurt Angle. My point of view on it, Michael. I'm happy for Kurt. He seems, and I know addictions are addictions. Neither one of us are saints. I'm sure neither three of us are saints. As long as someone, when someone claims they're overcoming, there's always that doubt, especially with someone like Angle, who's had repeated, relapses, DUIs, and whatnot. But if he says he's on the straight and narrow, I want to believe Kurt because I am one of the biggest Kurt Angle fans you can imagine.
Especially if he says.
I don't think anyone in the history of this business was such a prodigy like Kurt to get it so fast and so good.
Well, I mean,
across the board too,
Olympic
not
gold-
just great technical. He had everything.
Olympic gold medalist, you knew he was going to have some kind of concept into the world of professional wrestling because the world of chain
there are
wrestling,
so
as
many
far as
Olympic
professional
wrestlers who are
wrestling goes,
trash.
chain wrestling is an art form, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. Nobody's gonna. I mean, unless it's me or another big time wrestling geek. Not a lot of people appreciate the chain wrestling guys, real technical guys.
You're seeing them sprinkle that in more now on the main product with like a Jack Gallagher.
Yeah,
That gets over a lot more now than it used to.
It does.
It's getting a lot more appreciation. Thank God.
I think people honestly, for one, the fucking dives. People are burnt out on dives, flippy dude.
Everybody's getting tired of the flippy crap.
I don't know if it's that.
Really
I just think people are fickle and they're jaded and their attention spans are minute.
If we want to watch that, we'll watch.
Let's be honest.
We'll watch Luchadors.
You haven't seen someone like Jack Gallagher maybe since Billy Robinson back in the day.
I mean, but do you want to know what I think is? This may be a really unpopular opinion, but I think it's that everyone wants to seem smart. So when somebody does like one of those really old moves and maybe just does like a fish hook with it, they want to act like that's more, fantastical than, a suicide dive now because it's like, oh, I know what that is and, where he got that because I'm in the know.
Yeah.
It's this fun thing that wrestling fans like to do where they pretend that they're smarter than the guy in the seat right next to them.
And I think
the same thing.
I'd like to think us three are more in the crowd of it makes more sense psychologically. If I'm in a fight, am I gonna dive or am I gonna if I'm a grappler, am I gonna chain wrestle his ass down? It makes more sense.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
See,
thankfully
that's how it kind of started. That's how it kind of started getting integrated into stuff is because the wrestlers in their head, it's like, well, this makes sense. So this all started kind of happening like in the early 2000s. They tried to do huge pushes in it and to mix success, like the MMA match that AJ Styles tried to have with Frank Trigg. That was too much too soon. Yeah. But the way that they slowly pushed it with Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, that kind of worked.
Well, that was their biggest drawing show ever, I think, was that pay-per-view for TNA. And
I hope
the MMA cage match or something, the headline of
it was really well done and it was really well booked.
Timothy Well and Stephen Dunn.
And believe it or not, Dutch Mantel was the guy behind that. So you can't even give Russo credit. So why would you?
The more that I dig into things, the more Russo isn't a saint, and there's plenty of stuff that he's messed up on, but it's turned into a meme to bury Russo. Every clock's got to be right at least twice a day. And this guy's been paid for a long time, so I'm getting maybe it's more than twice a day.
Everything's a meme, though, at this point. Let's be real.
God, everything is a meme at this point.
It's not like some of the shit he did isn't deservedly getting shit on.
Oh, no, there's a lot of shit he did that's for sure ridiculous. But come on, tell me that there's not stuff that, the most successful promoter ever, what's his name? Vince McMahon? Tell me there's not some shit that Vince McMahon did that's just, absolutely what the fuck are you doing?
I think Vince Russo is a perfect case of right place, right time.
Well, Russo and McMahon are
great. All that.
Russo and McMahon are a great combination. Sure. Russo and McMahon, you had the Russo had all these off the wall ideas, and you had McMahon there to kind of.
I don't think they were off the wall at all. I think they were modernized. I think he was trying to catch the product up to the time. That's why I say he was in the right place.
The stuff that Russo did in WCW, so
well. At that point,
so
though,
much, everywhere.
You'd seen it by then.
It was just every match you had to have a run-in and shit. And he didn't have that. He didn't have that person in the background saying, "Okay, we've had enough of this shit. We need to do something a little more legit."
in Russo's defense, when he went to WCW, he didn't stand a chance either way because WCW as a promotion was always going to be viewed second best. So anything he did, even if it was great, was always going to be viewed as WWE light, trying to be capturing magic in a bottle with the attitude shit again. And so
It was even worse because he went on camera. That was even worse. Like, I'll never understand why he did that because that's what shot him in the foot. He could have got away with plenty of stuff had he not got on camera.
Well, that era was like the plethora of on-screen fucking authority figures, like the best too. Like I think the only one that ever should have been on and was ever really good at it was Vince. Honestly, you know, out of all the authority figures we've seen, I like the way the original commissioner
Eric was good.
Silly. Eric was good as a dick because he's so natural at it. That's true.
Mm-hmm. But see, this is the thing. Everyone, we'll all recognize. Can all three of us recognize right here? That shit got tired then. All right, the authority figure, and it was a thing that happens like back in the day. It was, you know, like not necessarily gang warfare, but like team warfare, stable warfare. You had the Freebirds, the Horsemen, the Von Erichs, and all that stuff back in the day. Well, that faded out, and then you had, you know, the big.
Yeah, then it came back and it was even worse.
Well, it did come back and it wasn't nearly as good. But I mean, you go through these eras of things, you know, to happen, and you know, just kind of, you know, switch things out, switch the ideas out.
I think
that never
WCW
stopped.
did the worst job with stables. They may have created a masterpiece in the NWO, but everything else that was created out of that whole stable fest was just a big pile of shit.
You didn't like
the NWO was a masterpiece.
I didn't like the Flock. I didn't like the LWO. I didn't like the Dungeon of Doom.
LWO was absurd.
NWO was a masterpiece, but it was a polished version of an old New Japan gimmick of a bunch of New Japan.
No, it was a masterpiece someone kept painting on. It should have been left alone. It should have been put. It should have been left alone. Let it run its course. But all kinds of mess happened with that. There's so many places you can point to where it's
like like when you have awesome fucking fries and you add salt and you just keep adding more to the point where it's inedible.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
but the main thing we can all admit that authority figure shit, it got tired back then, right? 2001, it was tired.
I would say it hit its stride. It peaked at that Valentine's Day Massacre cage match in '99. I think by WrestleMania 15, for me, it had run its course because then they were doing that higher power bullshit. You could tell they were running out of shit.
Well, I thought overall
they ran the well dry.
I thought WWE did a much better job with the Stable Fest than WCW did. I mean, of course, WWE had its low points. I mean, you had the Brood.
Well, that's the Stable Fest, but the heel authority figure, the boss who is constantly trying to fuck his company up.
Yes.
The man who essentially would have to have brand damage if you think of this in a realistic perspective.
If you think of that in a realistic way, why the fuck is he giving him any chances? Any chances to keep his job? And any GM, and realistically, you are absolutely hit the nail on the head. It makes no fucking sense, but it's wrestling, you know.
It's not supposed to.
No, it is wrestling, and it's fine.
Suspend the disbelief speech they like to give or whatever, but you are
for sure.
It's to this day,
it's all those little things adding up, though. It's all that kind of little stuff adding, man.
Yes, the authority storyline on modern day Raw is making Raw unbearably. I just can't watch.
Well, I was real happy. Well,
the authority storyline has been running since 1998.
Yep.
That's the problem.
But that is
people haven't caught on to that.
That is a great segue this week, Travis, into this week's Raw review.
Monday Night Raw this week, Michael, was live from, once again, I don't fucking remember, because this show, lately for me, as I've been saying in the past couple of weeks, I only...
There was one high point. The show did not start with Mick Foley and
that's not what
Stephanie McMahon in the ring.
The high point for me in this show, and believe it or not, you might not have liked it, I thought it was good, was Sami Zayn pretending he was in the Shield.
I loved it.
I thought it was zany. Did
I
just say zany?
I thought
you did say zany.
I thought it was great.
And he needs to make that a thing.
I thought it was great to see some quirky personality from Zayn.
Something from him.
Yeah, a little bit of something other than just wrestling. Because he's been booked like they booked the cruiserweights, basically. You know what I mean?
I called it on the show last week. I'll get your thoughts real quick. Not to put you on the spot there, Grapp. Last week we had a Rumble prediction show, and my pick to win the Rumble, with how they've been booking him with Strowman, is Sami Zayn. Believe it or not, I think it's going to be Owens. I know that's a shot in the dark. And I'm definitely shooting in the dark this year, but that's my pick.
I think you're dead wrong.
I don't know. Something about it.
It'll never happen.
That's the best and sexiest story they could tell.
I think
the Sami Zayn winning is the best and sexiest story they can possibly tell right now.
And yeah,
but
I like it too. That's the thing, and not just I think they'll do it. I love if they would go that route.
I think, but it won't happen.
I don't have the faith in them to do it, man. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to not be. Everyone's pointing to Goldberg, Brock, and Undertaker, and I'm like, that's
Goldberg
something's happening that'll set up their matches in the Rumble. But I see John Cena probably winning to try and tie, or at least attempt to. Would he be breaking Austin's record
at the pay-per-view? So I don't think he's even.
Is he going to pull double duty?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's
in
the title match.
Yeah, he got the match with AJ Styles. So never mind.
But you're not off topic because I was looking at like odds makers on who's going to win the Rumble, and John Cena's in there. So I'm wondering why they even have him in there if he's in the title match.
John Cena's in the odds to win the Super Bowl, man.
He's John Cena.
Well,
just how it is. He's in the odds to win everything.
And I look down in the comments section. You have those. It's I would pick John Cena to win it. And I'm like, and I keep scrolling down. There's always that one person that thinks like me, and I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to see John Cena win the Rumble since he's already in a title match.
Michael, you said last week your pick's Finn Balor to come back.
I picked Finn Balor. Finn Balor's going to come back and win this Rumble.
Everybody's saying that he's not really looking like he could come back to compete. There was a thing where he talked to some kids about a week or two ago, and like he picked this, not taking a stab at the kid, but it was a fairly chunky little fella. He picked him up and set him on the table, and the kid did his little pose with it and stuff. So, like he picked up this chunky little kid and set him up. So his shoulder is existing. So maybe he's ready.
The rumors that I've heard is he's going to be back for the Rumble, and they're also, we'll get into that later, some other guys that are going to be in the Rumble.
Well, no, I mean, we went over last week. Joe is rumored to be in the Rumble.
Joe's going to be in the Rumble.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be in it.
Joe will make his AJ Styles debut at the Rumble.
See, I think they're going to ruin things by having Joe go in with Styles. Not ruin things. I don't know where they're going. They probably know better than I do.
I mean, there's rumors that's where it's going to go to WrestleMania. It could be Joe and Styles at WrestleMania.
See, I really hope not, because Joe and Styles is going to diminish the eventual and hopeful Joe versus Brock. Because I wanted Joe to do to Brock what Goldberg did to Brock, to establish a new, younger badass that we actually get more than 2 or 3 more matches out of.
Well, talk about putting faith in WWE to...
Maybe it's very Vince McMahon of me, but it's so unrealistic for me to see somebody like Samoa Joe dominate Brock Lesnar.
Not to me.
He doesn't have to dominate him, but he would need to beat him.
I could see beating him.
My thing is, we have a young man, and we have
the way Goldberg did.
You have a younger man than Goldberg, though.
Does he look anything?
We have a younger guy who we have more mileage out of. That's my only thing with it. And Joe he could pass his badass.
I hate to say the word when it comes to wrestling, but that would be so fake to me. To have a shorter, tubby guy beat this big, giant man. It just isn't believable.
I think if they went that route and Joe wins the Rumble, but he would have to just plow through Styles for end title matches, get the title, be a monster heel, dominant champion, and then book him with Brock at SummerSlam. Not necessarily.
If he goes hyper competitive with AJ, then you can't have this hyper competitive with Brock.
And you cannot have
I don't know. This is very old mentality booking because I can't wrap my head around the way they do things now.
For some reason, I'm seeing Styles and Undertaker, honestly, at WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, I predicted that.
Oh, one would hope not.
I predicted that. It's just a great storyline, the Phenom versus the Phenomenal One.
Styles would obviously be doing the work, but Styles could pull it off.
And that's what the Undertaker needs, I think, realistically.
He doesn't need a Strowman to expose how old he really is.
I really hope that's not what they're going to do.
But you give credit where it's due. Strowman, for a big man, as we always say, he does that Davey Boy Smith power slam like nobody's fucking business.
Yeah, and he's actually come a long way with his work, but I just don't think he would be able to carry a match with the Undertaker to the level where it would be a WrestleMania match.
Well, speaking of Strowman, speaking of
I don't think he could tombstone, so I think they would skip that one. I think that's just too risky if he couldn't get the tombstone right.
I don't know. Maybe he could. Taker surprised people.
I mean, I think he could, but it just that's a big risk for late in a match pulling off the tombstone against that big, oddly weighted fellow.
It's just kind of weird because when they showed the Undertaker's return to Raw, they cut backstage to Strowman
watching on a monitor.
Oh,
so I'm wondering if they're trying to plug a little feud later down the road.
I think it's a big cock tease to swerve you from what they're really going to do with Taker. Because I think that
I would like
speak
Taker versus Owens. I know that we're far from that right now, but I think Undertaker versus Owens is a good match to have, and
I
it's
like
one that I feel like we're gonna get cheated out
I
of
think it would be
if
a letdown.
it doesn't happen in the soon.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I think it would be a letdown. I don't think
it would be super. I don't think this is gonna be 6 out of 5 or any of that kind of shit.
As much as I like Kevin Owens, I just don't think he would be able to carry a match with the Undertaker. I think the Undertaker needs somebody like Styles or somebody like maybe a Sami Zayn or a Jericho, somebody that could carry a match with him. And
a Balor.
Yes, a Balor would be perfect. That would be my dream match for the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Him versus Finn Balor. You have the Demon.
He's the right size.
Passing of the torch, so to speak.
That would be my dream match at WrestleMania. That would probably be the match that I look forward to the most.
I thought your dream match at WrestleMania was Rugged Ronnie Garvin and Dino Bravo in a cage.
That's my second favorite.
Oh, sorry.
My fifth.
Shit.
It's my backup. But
speaking of Strowman, speaking of all these guys, speaking of Owens, there was a big 6-man on Raw this week.
Yep.
You had Strowman and Jericho against Reigns, Rollins, and Sami Zayn, like we said, doing the silly Shield stuff backstage, which was great. The match was, paint by numbers, whatever. Michael, what went on this week? Because you saw a lot more of the show than I did.
Well, I mean, obviously, the bad guys won.
Good guys win and the bad guys lose, like Ninja Turtles? Is that where you were?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of this match, to be honest with you. I thought it was a spot fest.
It was a solid 2 weeks out from the pay-per-view main event.
Especially at the end. I thought it was way too all over the place for me at the end.
These lads have wrestled each other to death.
Yes.
And that's what happens with the brand split.
And I'm sick and tired of seeing the same fucking thing every week. Like, you do this brand split, and this is the problem that you have.
People were hyped.
This is the problem that you had before the brand split. Like, it's easy to say it's the brand split. Look at before the brand split. They were still doing this.
Yeah, but now
this was still happening.
Now it's even worse. Now you don't even have the options.
Yeah, your options are even gone at this point for possible scenario. Like,
this is true.
I don't know.
It's the same.
The hope is gone.
4 or 5 guys every week.
The hope is gone. The struggle is
The hope is gone.
And everybody talks about how great SmackDown is. That's the same fucking shit too.
SmackDown isn't. I don't know if it's so great. It's just more tolerable than Raw.
Well, it's because
do you know why people say that SmackDown's better?
Because it's 2 hours.
Because it's 2 hours.
Well, 2 hours doesn't hurt, but there's one thing happening on SmackDown that isn't happening on Raw. They're not doing the same fucking storyline they've been doing since 1998.
And they're not putting Stephanie McMahon on there to slap top guys and make them look like fucking pussies.
I made a whole video about that once.
I know.
It was
But
the worst.
you still get repetitive shit with SmackDown, and
Oh, you definitely do. But that one shining beacon of not the same fucking thing people have seen for the past 20 years is enough for people to recognize and be like, well, this is better. I'm not sure why, but it's better.
Michael, last week SmackDown gave us Judy Martin versus fucking Carmella.
Well,
Judy Martin came out of retirement. So
that was the week before.
Wow.
Was it?
Yeah. But my thing with I'm so glad that Dolph Ziggler turned heel, so I don't have to watch him wrestle Baron Corbin again.
Dolph Ziggler did have a segment we'll talk about in SmackDown review, but real quick, Raw. It was just basically fucking filler. You had the tag team title match. You thought Anderson and Gallows.
I did like that. You know why I liked it? Because they took a heel finish and made it work for the face. It was a little switch, something I hadn't seen a whole lot, which is why I enjoyed it.
That was a different finish.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it, but I came away confused. Like, who are you supposed to feel sympathetic for right now? Is Sheamus a baby face now, by the way? Like, where are they? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're definitely...
They didn't even take the time to do that.
Yeah,
they're hoping that you skip that bit.
They've gone away from the two of them doing their separate poses and getting cheers and boos.
Vince's whole philosophy. He was in the Turtles movie. He'll get cheered eventually.
Yeah, remember the time they drank in soccer jerseys, guys? Yeah. Like, that was it. It was all right then. They're buddies now.
Yep.
Just forget the months after that.
I did enjoy that tag title match. I loved the finish. I'm a big fan of the club, of course, but I felt like they have been underwhelming in WWE.
They've been trash for the past almost year, and then now since the New Day thing is over, it seems that everyone in the tag team division is trying again. I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole tag division is like, oh yes, they're gonna start writing Angle for us again. This is so awesome.
We're relevant again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody was just kind of having to, wait out this fucking record that they had to break. Like,
Poor Demolition.
I don't know.
Well,
I enjoyed the New Day,
talk shit.
but it
Get your
ran
record
it ran its course about 4 months before the record.
You see
So
what
it
happens?
should have stopped.
That's, when you join a group lawsuit against WWE
Yep.
for
See what
injuries
happens?
you sustained 20 years ago. That's
Yep.
what happens.
That's what happens. Your record gets broken.
Just like
Or
when
if
you
you're married
leave the
to CM
company,
Punk, your record gets broken.
they will shotgun book Randy Orton in there against name edited to get the belt off of you
He's
for the record of youngest champion.
Too. That's funny.
Yeah. Speaking of shotgunning people in, I guess the biggest thing coming away from Raw was this week, Brock Lesnar returned.
Yeah.
First we've really seen Brock in a while.
Total crap booking on how he was used.
Go ahead, preach on.
This is your headliner for your whole show, and you use him in the opening segment, and that's it. Brock Lesnar's going to be here this week, and we're going to use him right when the show starts, and that's it.
Well, that's when most people tune in, though.
But
you're also, I get it, you're giving no one any incentive to stick around.
Yeah.
Stick around for Titus O'Neil to do something else that's fucking stupid and irrelevant.
Oh my God!
I'm there, man. Fucking Titus. Yeah, I mean, they do this every fucking year.
Take it easy on Titus, all right?
Take it easy on
I
Titus.
For God's sake, keep the mic away from him.
I'm sure
he's 15 yards away from him.
I'm sure Giant Gonzalez trained hard as shit, and he just tried to be good in the ring.
Oh, he did.
I'm sure he was a lovely man.
Yeah. Shout out to Giant Gonzalez. You want that to be your promo break, the Giant Gonzalez?
No.
Okay.
Did he ever have a promo?
It was Harvey Whippleman, if it was.
Oh.
He gave a
If I'm
promo to
listen
Jim
to Harvey
Russell.
Whippleman, he better have some Bertha Faye.
Man, but yeah, Brock Lesnar. They do this every fucking year on at least one Raw building up to the Rumble.
Guess what? This week,
all the superstars
Goldberg's going to be there.
And the same goddamn thing will likely happen. You'll have a stare down with Brock.
No, Brock's not going to be there.
Oh, he's not.
Just Goldberg this week. They're not there at the same time.
It is hunting season in Minnesota.
Yeah, so
I think.
No, I think that's long.
But other than that, you had some stuff with Bayley. I'm not interested. I'm so disappointed in how they've handled Bayley. You're not a Bayley fan.
See, this is where
Charlotte shined, but that was about it because then Bayley got on the fucking mic, and who the fuck is giving Bayley a goddamn mic for over 2 minutes, Michael? Now I'm fired up. You see? Because Bayley can't cut a promo. Did you see Bayley on fucking Raw pre or post show or whatever a couple weeks ago? She bombed. And when I mean bombed, she was on the level of Kalisto.
They had such an opportunity with the way they did this segment. This segment was so well so well thought out in how it should go, and I really feel like Bayley just took the segment and threw it in the trash just by opening her mouth. The way that she did. They took this segment and they were very, I don't know, it was well done to the point where you had to get behind this person that they're making fun of because it's a person that's supposed to be just like all of us. The big wrestling fans that have made it to the main show and are going for the title, and I feel like Bayley just took the ball and threw it in the trash just by opening her mouth. I felt like she had an opportunity to finally do something on a microphone and push herself up to that level where so many people wanted to see her go, and it just got thrown in the trash because she handled it poorly. What do you think, Grapp?
It's kind of harsh, but I really agree with you a little bit. People want to hug Bayley. They don't want to hear her talk.
Yeah,
that's just true.
It's hard not to.
They want to see her wrestle. You want to hear other people tell you the story that this is the wrestling fan. You want to see her act geeky. You want to get the vibe that she's not a fish out of water, but she's the one who doesn't look like all the rest of them and herp derp all that.
Yeah,
and that comes through until she starts talking, and
it's just so rehearsed. It seems for me. Am I the only one?
She gets real robotic when she talks, and that sucks. I really wish they'd stop scripting, and I know that's a dead ass horse to beat.
You would think for such
rose-colored glasses,
for such a diehard wrestling fan, you'd think she'd be better on a microphone.
You would think she would have seen one before. She's deer in the headlights every time she gets one.
You would think she wouldn't study on just Ken Patera promos.
I know Travis and I as kids, we used to videotape promos of ourselves as kids.
As kids growing up.
And would practice this art.
We went whole Hardy Boys on a nerd style.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty much the Hardy Boys before the Hardy Boys.
All right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
I had a little burp.
Little burp there. Sponsored by Natty Bo again this week.
Natty Bo is in the house as usual.
Well, that was Raw. Real
Nice.
quick, because we got a
Well,
bunch of
what are your
questions.
thoughts
Go
in
ahead.
depth on the Bailey situation? My thoughts there were that she took the ball and threw it right in the fucking trash.
Well, they
That
didn't.
was
They
the
didn't know I ran out and took a piss real
Yes.
quick, but now they do.
That
So
was-
because you had to,
Well, I'm sorry, but I want your opinion on this because it was so important to Bailey's career. I feel like she might have just fucked herself in the long run.
I don't think she dropped the ball. She's handed a very, very slippery fucking ball. It's covered in shit and
Yeah.
piss and jizz and awful,
So
and
was
nobody
Steve Austin, and
wants
he
this
ran with
ball.
he didn't
No,
really.
Steve Austin was not scripted.
He
He
didn't.
was handed a ringmaster gimmick.
Did he run with the ringmaster though? Did that
He took
skyrocket?
ringmaster and
Fuck
turned it into
no.
Stone Cold.
He
You
didn't.
tell me right now who's allowed to turn a gimmick into another gimmick in WWE.
John Cena, Roman Reigns. You want me to go on with
Seth
top
Rollins.
guys?
So Roman Reigns won't even change his fucking theme music from the Shield shit. He's still wearing the same gear.
He
He
won't
has
even
the same
change.
gear.
He won't even change his conditioner when he
So
takes a
remember
shower.
when you guys liked me? It was
Yeah.
like, look at you liked me.
Remember that Royal Rumble match when I was cheered?
My 2 cents on Bailey real quick. I think that's at 50% of it. I totally agree with Grapp on that. Fucking the ball she's handled is covered in jizz and cat puke and all that good shit.
Yeah, but
other-
it was
the-
such a perfect promo opportunity.
Can I say you asked
Go
me?
ahead.
Can I get it in? Let me put it in. Put the tip in for you.
Oh, that's awful.
Is it?
Don't ever use that again when you refer to me.
You push that.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Ugh. And I don't need any fucking sound effects from you, Mr. Big Time.
That's why we have guests on for
Fuck.
jizz sound effects.
Jesus.
I think that with Bailey, she's a case for me and what I've seen her capable of in NXT. Even less is more. Less is more with Bailey. Sporadically hand her a mic. Don't make it a fucking Laurence Olivier fucking big speech. Just paint by numbers to the point. Sell me some tickets, baby. Some Dusty Rhodes type shit. Fucking let her. And it also seems her ring work is extremely limited, more cut back now. It's like she's got to get her shit in, and it feels rushed. If they would give her more time, and I think they will in pay-per-view matches, but I think it's a big part of it is what she's been handed and just less is more, honestly.
They've really cut down the girls' time.
Cop out for me.
They've cut down
That's
the girls'
cop
time a
out for
lot.
Yeah, that's a cop out.
It's like you're saying.
That's fair what he said. They've cut down the girls' time a huge amount. They'll give, and this lends kind of to Charlotte's style. This lends to some other people's style. But Bailey needs a minute because, she needs to get beat on for a second.
Yes,
Even if she wrestles against Dana Brooke, she needs to get beat on for a little while before she does her comeback because she has to have a comeback. That's her thing.
She's like a Bret Hart, like a
She needs to get beat the fuck out of for a while. But
Exactly.
my thing is on the microphone. I'm not talking about her work.
That's what I'm saying too, though. Less is more. Don't really give her a fucking.
But
mic.
they gave her such a big
do
opportunity.
nice vignettes for Bailey. Don't give her a mic. Do vignettes. She's
Yeah.
like that. Vignettes will build her to the moon
That
with
was-
that underdog shit. Do that.
That's what they tried to do here. And
Yeah,
she
no
fucked it all up.
promos.
No, what I
No,
took
have
from
her
this
in the
was
back
they gave her a
in
mic and she talked about
situations.
the passion she had growing up, and they showed some pictures on the Titantron. But at the end of the day, it was
That's
a
what
promo in the
Charlotte
ring.
did. That's what Charlotte did when you watch the segment.
That is
Bailey got the
always
mic.
death.
And then they gave Bailey the chance to talk, to really come back at Charlotte, and she didn't. She
Yep.
was, the only thing that she said that was kind of cool to get behind was, well, I'm not like you. It didn't just take a phone call for me to get here.
Yeah, it worked.
And Charlotte took that ball and ran with it. Well, you can't blame me, can you? You know what I mean? So it's Charlotte embraced that.
Yeah.
I wish Bailey could be like that on the fly. Or if it gets over, do you really think that WWE backstage when they come back is really going to ream her out?
All right, hold on though. Be fair here. You tell me which girlhood dream stands out to you for real. Those are always fucking death. Tell me which one stands out for you.
Well,
Which one's real good?
They promoted the shit out of Shawn Michaels, and he ran with it.
He ran with it, or did they just run that fucking promo into the ground? You remember the ratings were in the fucking dumpster during this time.
I don't know how
96.
much that had to do with
Probably not that promo. It probably wasn't that promo that directly killed it
I
or
shudder
anything. But I'm
to
just saying.
think though in '96 where that company would have been without Shawn Michaels. That's a scary thing.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
you-
that's a great sign. That's another thing. That's a great point. But just think of this. Let's say that promo is the one that was a great boyhood dream promo.
that would have
the
worked
fact
out
that
a lot
you-
better against a heel rather
No,
than
the
Bret
fact
Hart.
that you had to go back 20 years and knowing that we've sat through 20 years of boyhood, girlhood dream promos
Yep.
For you to find a good one, that's not good.
That's not good at all.
No more of those. No more. We get it. Everybody who becomes a pro wrestler wanted to be a wrestler. Oh, shocking. I got it.
Yeah. Give us something fresh. Give us something like with
Something
an
new.
Ellsworth, something we haven't seen. You know, and I think we're in like the most interesting time right now. It is a unique time in the world of wrestling with cross promotion.
It really is.
I haven't seen anything like this since God 70s territory type shit with Vince McMahon making a deal with fucking Eddie Graham to bring someone in for a shot or shit like that.
No,
It's crazy.
the real deal is
It's
if
exciting.
WWE can buy everything, they will do territories. That's what they're going to do. But
They're
the
trying
territories
to
will
make
come.
the super indie that encompasses everything.
Well, that's what they're doing with the UK.
Maybe.
They're trying.
Yeah, they're going to.
They're trying to drown out the competition because they're falling behind in the UK as far as ratings.
I needed a segue.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Real quick, the UK tournament. Neither one of you guys really saw a lot of it. I watched the whole thing. I didn't know too much about Progress, ICW, any of these promoters. I knew specific guys like Trent Seven, the Bruiserweight.
These companies that are actually getting watched more than WWE.
I gotta say, this was produced by Michael Cole, believe it or not. And without Vince McMahon in his ear, I gotta give it to Michael Cole in this show. Phenomenal work. And Nigel McGuinness. I'm really happy for Nigel McGuinness, by the way. I'm a huge Nigel McGuinness. I've been for years. And finally, he's got a proper place to showcase his verbal skills. Because it's a shame he had to retire at such young. But he's so good. And on the mic. But long story short, if you like fucking pro wrestling, booked seriously and competitively with good storytelling, just how it should be, you need to check this out. Even if you don't know it, you will definitely come away from this being more interested in Progress in ICW because I am since I've been watching it, I've been doing my homework on Little Progress and all the shows.
From what I've heard, everybody who was really disappointed with how the World of Sport thing went on New Year's, where they kind of leaned toward Lucha Underground more than they actually went toward World of Sport, they said that this was leaps and or bounds better.
Yeah.
Like, if you're looking for a World of Sport kind of throwback, then this is a much better kind of deal than what they actually put on for World of Sport.
If you're someone like us who doesn't really stomach Lucha Underground, it's perfect because it's not silly. No one dies in the storylines. Fucking.
Well, my whole problem with this is I felt like this was like I don't want to say last ditch effort by WWE, but you could tell that WWE was like, well, we're getting the ratings, we're getting beat by these other companies in the UK because we're not giving them a product that they can watch more. So what they did is threw something together and put all these guys in there and said, okay, now watch us instead of watching those other companies. They tried to basically
Be the super indie.
well, they tried to cherry pick.
Well, that's their job.
Well, yeah, they tried to cherry pick all the best guys, put them in a tournament, and get you to watch it so that they could get their ratings up in the UK, which is what they did.
Yeah.
It's what they did, which is fair. But is it going to last?
Business.
Is
That's
it going
the
to be
biggest question.
Is it going to be another cruiserweight division?
That's the biggest question coming away from this. Where do they go here now with the title?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be like a weird thing going forward because all these guys are still under contract to everyone else.
That's what I'm saying.
Before I say if anything's messed up that WWE does, I always have to run it through my filter of would it still piss me off if Ring of Honor or TNA or any smaller company did it, because it's really easy to hate WWE and they do a lot of stuff to hate.
It's easier to hate TNA for me.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's easier to hate other companies sometimes for sure, but it's easier to hate WWE because they're so big and it feels like they're taking over everything.
I was going to take what Michael said and flip the script and say it was exactly what they should be doing with the network. Have these special showcase things that you can only get on the network. That's why you have a fucking network. Give us house shows. Give us shit. There's rumors they're going to do like a South African or in China type tournament in the future. I think it's great that they do stuff like this.
But yes,
I expected Tough Enough UK though. Like that's what I expected. So they're far exceeding anything that I thought they were going to do.
But
I think they've blown their loads on reality stuff. They need to get back to wrestling.
I'm glad they're doing this for real. Like I was expecting that kind of shit.
I'm not discounting the tournaments and what they've done. Is where they go from here.
That is my thing too.
We all thought the Cruiserweight Classic was phenomenal, right? You watched the Cruiserweight Classic?
This was better, in my opinion. Way
It
better.
was the Cruiserweight Classic was a good tournament compared to WWE programming.
Yeah.
For me, it essentially looked like WWE saw Wrestling Society X and was like, "Well, that was cool."
Well,
And
Well, no, it's
they
more like
made
they
that
saw
really
Ring
quick.
of Honor and like, oh, go out there, Cedric, and because the
Oh
big.
no, they
I don't know.
filmed it like Wrestling Society X. They cut out all the rest holds,
Yeah.
so like that was weird. Like it was just weird edits. But it was cool. But all the matches were packaged down too much for me.
Where have they taken it from there?
They've taken it to the main roster, and hopefully Neville wins the title. And I'm
Well,
hoping that Neville is the lightning bolt that the division needs, because you got to talk about a guy that's blown me away on the mic that I didn't know he was capable. And I've seen his shit in Japan, but I've never seen him really to this extent as
He's
like
a
a heel.
great heel.
He's phenomenal.
I
He's
wish
knocking my socks off.
I really
with what
wish
he's
they
doing.
would have done this with him as not a cruiserweight.
Here's something I didn't like on the UK tournament. Speaking of Neville, they sprinkled in a special featured match. Neville cutting a promo. Out comes the yet to debut in NXT, Tommy End, using his actual wrestling name, Tommy End, and not Aleister Black or whatever the fuck they're gonna give him in NXT. And I thought this was silly because this is a no-win situation for both guys. But if you look at it, at the end of the day, I was just splitting hairs on it because it was on a special that only the diehards are really going to order anyway on the network, because only the diehards would really.
I have a feeling Neville just wanted to wrestle over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably just.
But if I had any complaints, is that match felt out of place and maybe unnecessary. But other than that, guys, check it out if you've never checked it out. Michael Grapp, it's time for this week's SmackDown review. And let's just breeze through it because, like we said, we got a shit ton of questions this week. Mike, what went down on SmackDown this week?
Well, I guess my biggest thing to take away from SmackDown this week was the Dolph Ziggler Jerry Lawler segment.
Yeah,
it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was the best part of SmackDown, but it was. I would say it was definitely the most mishandled segment.
It literally felt like Dolph Ziggler went back and studied the program with Jericho and Shawn Michaels from 2008 and is seriously word for word, almost verbatim tone, everything is doing Jericho when he had the suit, when he was that No Country for Old Men character.
I don't like the slow talking heel
I
Ziggler.
like that, but he's just coming off as so Jericho to me. Like you can tell that's his inspiration. And I just be Dolph Ziggler. You're the first.
Why can't you just be a heel?
It's easy for me to fucking.
You can be a heel without having to be somebody else.
But that's what we do.
I have a hard time faulting anything that guy does. That he's tried really hard for a really long time. So now if he's just trying shit to see, hey, push now? Can I have a push now? How about a push now? Anybody want to push me now?
For me, this.
He's gotten a lot worse over the past 2 years. I'll readily admit it, but he's still in like the top 5, top 10 maybe. Well, no, they've got some really good guys, so definitely top 10.
I'm not faulting his in-ring work at all. I'm faulting the way that he's trying to bring across his character.
His new mic work is not my favorite.
I don't like
I'll readily admit that.
Do you
think Ziggler's somebody that needs a mouthpiece?
I think Ziggler's somebody who should have left the company about 3 years ago and came back last year.
Ziggler should have, when they did the Big E as Diesel for Ziggler or whatever, if they would have taken Big E and replaced him with somebody better, and Ziggler would have ran with that
like
more,
Strowman?
like he would have ran with the bodyguard thing a little longer.
I think if he wouldn't have got hurt, right then that would have been one thing.
That too, injury prone. At the time, he was a little injury prone.
Real quick, Grapp. First match at WrestleMania 9. What was it?
The first match at WrestleMania 9?
I ask all my guests this.
Oh yeah. Forgot about
All right. The first match that was aired or the first match that came on?
First match that was aired on the pay-per-view. Don't look it up.
I'm not. Isn't that Tito and the Matador? Or not Tito and the Matador, but Tito versus Shawn?
That was WrestleMania 8.
Oh, then it was Tatanka versus Shawn.
Oh, look at that. Somebody passed the bar, Michael. And he was even going to pull out a dark. What was the dark match again on WrestleMania 9? He probably knew that.
I was giving him easy questions.
I have waited 41 episodes for someone to finally pass your little, whatever it is.
Yes.
Your Michael, so there it is.
Thank you.
Oh, to be fair, I got it, but I got it on my second try. I shouldn't have taken 2 tries. It was taking liberties.
I mean, WrestleMania 8, that was the first match, but, you know.
Where are we right now, by the way, Michael? Where have you taken us? You've taken us to 93. What the fuck?
Well, I just wanted to test our guess.
I'm not talking about the Doink match. I'm going to go back to the modern era.
Which one?
Against Crush, Kona Crush.
Yeah, that was WrestleMania 9.
Yes.
Bruh!
Bruh.
Double vision.
That's chloroform, man. That was the
That
Undertaker.
was the Undertaker and
match.
John comes
All right,
out.
anyway.
That was the best.
SmackDown, Michael. Not Kona Crush. Let's go back.
SmackDown needed more
But my
Kona Crush.
favorite
bro.
part of SmackDown was the fact that they tried to mix somebody different in the main event picture. And who was it, Travis? The Miz.
Yeah, I didn't remember for a second. Honestly.
The Miz.
I didn't have my notes.
I guess he's earned it over the past few months.
Yes.
For real.
Are you
It's
a
a
Miz
little
fan?
late. I'm not necessarily a fan of. I try not to be a fan of anyone in particular anymore, so that I could just kind of see what's going on. But I'm a fan of what he's been doing, and I've been a fan of his work.
That's fair.
I've been
And
a
all the
fan of The
things
Miz
going-
for quite a while. felt like
The
he's
stuff
been-
that he and Dolph Ziggler did
Yes. I
was
felt like he's
really,
been very
really good a few
underutilized.
months ago. So
felt-
I thought that he would have moved into this spot a little quicker because he
So
was
did
doing
I.
good shit.
I think I said to Travis this months ago that I could see The Miz in the main event picture at WrestleMania. I don't know that that's going to happen.
I don't
but
think that'll happen. But I think he could be like
I
right
could see
after.
it happening just because what does The Miz not have? The Miz can work in the ring. He can take a microphone. I mean, he's got a mount. He's got a woman with him that's fucking smoking hot.
He has established moves.
Yes,
I think
he has
I think that's something that's really underrated right now.
But he's
Established
consistent.
move.
Having a move set,
Like I said,
like a signature.
I feel like The Miz was pushed before, and I felt like they tried their best to drown him when he was the champ, instead of push him. And he's come back a few years later, and he's learned from that.
He wasn't.
No, The Miz was a victim of the time period. He was pretty much as good as he's always been. It's just now he's put into a different position, given a different deal. Plus having, the lady
Yes.
on the side. That never hurts. It also, it adds to the character.
It was 2010. He got the Money in the Bank cash in and won.
Yes.
All right.
But
that was like right after like the absolute worst era for like wrestling. Dude.
Oh yeah.
It's we were coming out of the
2005,
let's sign
2009.
Snitsky kind of era. Like
Not even that.
I had fun with
it's worse
Snitsky,
than
but for real.
Snitsky. Worse than Snitsky, because we had the John Cena decimates the Nexus era. That's what this was, 2010. Which I would rather watch fucking Gene Snitsky kicking a baby than the Nexus shit. Honestly,
But no, I mean, like I'm just saying, like this is the kind of people who they were looking to bring in. And,
yes.
it was.
I think
It
my
was
point,
bad time for wrestling.
I guess what I was getting at was like for me in 2010, Miz would is off the heels of that U.S. title run, like his first ever mid card. So I think he wasn't ready. I think he needed a little bit longer run with like a mid card title. So I think he was rushed, but he was just stupid decision making in that era. You're right, one of the worst times. God, I hate. You're right. It's totally.
He really was a victim of the times. I think if he would have never had that title run, and
Or
maybe
Alex Riley.
or if he would have been like. Maybe got Money in the Bank and won the belt from Seth Rollins. I think totally different story would have been told about the Miz's title run.
And the Miz was one of the guys that I hit on, but no, as far as somebody that's going to be
Wording.
as far as
I did not know you were that big of a Miz fan.
Jeez.
Yeah,
he's one of the
Reese
guys.
will
Not
take
just
offense.
a guy.
He's one of the guys that I hit on in the form of a talent that's going to be big. He was one of the when he first came into the company. I was like, this guy is going to be big time.
I didn't.
Oh, well, he's had 2 decades, so let's hope that the boys caught on.
Well, I'm talking about back in that
This up-and-coming
I'm
talent.
talking about back in that era where he was crap. You know what I
like
mean?
the reality star gimmick or
Yes.
whatever.
When he was on Road Rules or whatever he was on.
Oh, you could see it coming.
I could see when he first came into the company, I was like, this guy has talent. And there's been guys that I missed on.
I did
mean,
not.
he was
I
a
did
guy
not
that
see it coming. I was like, God, this guy sucks.
And I
couldn't
said,
stand
Yeah,
it.
it was
said this
you
to
and
Travis
Vince,
years
dude.
ago. I was like, this
It was
guy,
you and Vince all along.
I was
Knew
like,
it.
this guy is going to be a big star. And he ended up cashing it in, going to WrestleMania, but I felt like he was used so terribly. And I feel like now he's finally getting that push to where he could be viable for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Instead of just being given a belt to
And being turned babyface
Yes.
with Wade fucking Barrett.
Ugh.
That was awful.
Ugh.
That was-
He's not a babyface. You could never make the Miz a babyface. He's not.
He's not.
He's not. A
You
baby.
can,
Same
but
thing
it's
they did
not.
with
Yeah, it's
Ziggler.
not going to be very successful. He
Zig-
needs to
Zig-
be
no,
like
Ziggler,
he is
you
now.
could. They
Ziggler is
proved
not-
that with that
Ziggler-
underdog shit they did with Ziggler Survivor Series.
Yeah,
You gotta-
really drew a lot of ratings.
Ziggler
No.
won. No, fuck the ratings. It really? It's 2017. Ziggler
No,
won
people-
that crowd at the Survivor
People
Series.
aren't going to want to hear this, but the gimmick that suits the Miz now, and what he really is now, is he is this era's Ric Flair. He just doesn't have as many
agree.
belts. That's the gimmick he needs to have.
I
He
agree.
needs
I've
to
been
think
telling
he's
Travis
better than
that.
everyone. He needs to have the woman on his arm. He needs to have the gold around his waist. It doesn't matter if it's not the big gold. But still, like that's the gimmick he has. That's
I'm
what he
happy that
needs
he
to
lost the Intercontinental title to Ambrose.
Essentially. At least he's not Buddy Landell.
Because I feel like that gives him an opportunity to be put in that main event picture on SmackDown, which I think is where he belongs instead of the Intercontinental picture.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't.
I don't hate him being on the top of the Intercontinental picture, but if he's not on top of the Intercontinental title picture, then yeah, have him in the mix for the main because he's at that point now. Get it out of him while he's got it.
I feel like he's the most entertaining guy, maybe aside from AJ Styles, on SmackDown.
I don't know.
I feel like total
That's
package on the mic. I think he's better on a microphone.
You can at least make an argument for it.
I think he's better on the microphone. I think the feud with Daniel Bryan.
Can you try not to burp on air?
Is wonderful.
Can you try not to?
I'm doing my best.
It sounds gross from my end, at least. I'm right here though.
Well, I don't give a shit.
It's like
I'm trying to make a point here.
All right.
But
yeah, he was talking about his useless feud with Daniel Bryan that will have absolutely no blow off and is wasting everyone's time.
And hitting on guys.
I definitely don't think it's useless. I
think. What are you gonna do with it?
Well, would it have been been better for him not to have that feud with Daniel Bryan? You think? And
if Daniel Bryan can't wrestle at the end of the day,
then yeah, no, there's no reason for him to have that feud if he
with
can't
Daniel
fucking
Bryan
wrestle.
And his snapping on him on the Talking
think
Smack has
snapping on him did what? No,
I think what always makes how you book a great heel is yes, you make that heel such a piece of shit, a dick, but by the end of it, he finally gets his comeuppance. If there's no payoff and the heel just always continues to be a heel, you're not ever giving the fans what they want, so who the fuck wants to see that? And that's where we're at today. We're at a case of we're recovering in this era of wrestling for years and years of not getting what the fuck we want due to even Steven booking, heels always fucking winning and no payoff, or Stephanie McMahon slapping people in the fucking face. That's basically where we're at in wrestling, and we're recovering. We're rehabilitating professional wrestling in January 2017.
Rehabilitating while still having the same stuff injected, which is very hard.
Well, you can't.
It's like you're faking it and going to NA meetings.
You're doing chemo sessions. You're fighting it off. But I do agree with
all
both
you can do,
guys on The Miz. Though I think this is exactly where he should be. He should have been there maybe a month or two sooner. They shouldn't have waited so long. Where they go with Mania, I don't think he's anywhere near that title match in Mania. But I don't think
he'd be one of my dark horses. But I think he'd be one of my dark horses to win the Rumble.
I think he does something at Mania. I think, and it comes out very good, whatever program he's in. I think he's going to get
Sami Zayn of SmackDown, even though he's a heel.
And he's a Vince guy at the end of the day, and Vince is going to recognize how he's been turning it around for his career, or whatever. And he's going to give him a payoff at WrestleMania. He's going to have him do something, I don't think it's.
I was going to put it out there that Chris Jericho's never won the Royal Rumble. And since my pick can't be John Cena, I forgot that he's
that's another
getting the title
pick.
Match. That's going to be my pick.
I definitely think that's Kevin Owens' opponent at WrestleMania.
That's solid.
That could be a fun time for him and Kevin Owens.
I don't know if it's for the title or not, but I would put my house on the fact that it's going to be Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho at WrestleMania.
I think that if Chris Jericho wins it, then Owens will lose the title before they get there.
Well, you're going to know a lot of what's going to happen in the Rumble by what happens before it. There's so many scenarios, but I think regardless, I could see Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. I wouldn't see it for the title either, but it wouldn't shock me as much as Jericho has been over with the crowd in the past few months.
Yeah.
So
two real big news.
Jericho doesn't even have to be over; his clipboard's over.
Well, Jericho's whole character is over, and he put it over. So you could say it's a clipboard.
His
all you want,
is more over than half of the roster.
Well, you can say
clipboard is more over than the entire roster.
Well, how do you think the clipboard got there?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm glad that he brought his clipboard and scarf to the party. I'm just saying that his clipboard and scarf are the most popular thing at the party.
Talk about somebody that took a gimmick that was crap and made it into a main event fucking
That's
thing.
The thing. I don't think it was a gimmick. I think Jericho was part-time at the time. He was just fucking around, and it stuck. That we talked about it earlier. What guys can write their own shit? Jericho, I'm sure, is a case that he can. And he just said, fuck it. And it stuck.
He can pretty much do whatever he wants, and he has a new thing every time he comes
I
back.
think Jericho took lemons and made lemonade.
Because Jericho doesn't care, and whether people like or don't like Fozzy, they're very successful in Europe. Honestly, they are in like top.
He's making money.
He is. He's touring. Like he's definitely making money with Fozzy, so he doesn't really care. And his podcast is really good.
He lives quite the life.
And you know what? I saw this in the news this week. Shout out to Chris Jericho, and he's one of the last real good people in wrestling, donating $5,000 to Perry Saturn because Perry Saturn is going through medical issues. He doesn't look good at all. So that was nice of Jericho. And you know what's ridiculous?
And people give Jericho a lot of shit all the time because they don't realize that he's one of the old school guys that when he's a heel, he's a heel in public. Yeah. So they think that he's just an asshole.
Him punching that woman a couple years ago didn't help his case when it was called.
He was playing his character.
But you were talking about people's comments and the stupidity of what they say. When I was watching this about Jericho, reading about Jericho and Saturn, a lot of people didn't know Perry Saturn was white, and I was like, wow. They legit thought he was black. No, he was like Sicilian Italian. He's like
he was super duper tan.
He was. I can see where they're coming from. I can see it. It's kind of like a Taz thing, but I just thought that was
Perry Saturn. One day, I'm just gonna put it out there. One day, I'm going to get to making a Perry Saturn video. Yes. I'm letting you know. He has one of the weirdest stories ever.
He does.
And there's like 4 or 5 different conflicting deals going on. So I've got to do one on that guy.
He was one of Triple H's boys training, and he dated China first, if I'm correct, I think.
Not just that, but like apparently when he disappeared, some people say he got like shot and stabbed, but then his wife came out and said, "Well, no, he was just dodging child support." And then it's fucking, like
one of us.
It's wrestling, but you can never listen to anything a wrestler says.
Yes. Yeah, Sonny's proven that time and time again.
Anyway, oh God!
I thought that was awesome of Chris Jericho to do that. Anyway, but
that is really good of Chris Jericho to do that. Like that wasn't me like shedding any.
Well,
that's just he's having medical issues now.
Well, if we're too nice on the show, people will stop listening. So we gotta throw some shit.
Well, people give Chris Jericho shit all the time for how he is in public when he's a heel. Chris Jericho is an old school guy. If he's a heel on TV, he's going to try to
I don't think it's really Jericho. It's more like Randy Orton these days. That was also in the news this week.
Randy Orton.
Did you see that? A guy tried to get a video of him working out in the gym, and Orton flipped shit on him. One, why would you approach Randy fucking Orton of all people?
That's totally different. Randy Orton.
No, he's such a fucking likable looking guy. He just looks like he's going to snuggle right up to you.
He just looks like Snuggles, the cuddly bear.
But that's a totally different case, though, because even when Orton was a face, he was a dick to the public.
Yeah,
Randy Orton is one of the most well-known pricks, I think, in wrestling. Like, everybody knows.
It's
not smoke off of
It's not the... He's definitely like a CM Punk kind of guy. CM Punk's a prick. But it's...
Yeah, he's the other one that, like, everybody knows.
Yeah, don't ever go up to CM Punk and try to say hello. It's just fucking
Don't
stupid.
even tweet him because they'll block you for no reason.
Yeah.
No, he's never done that to me.
But I would never even fucking follow CM Punk.
But I guess the other big thing coming out of this one, I think you said this last week. You predicted this is coming up. Elimination Chamber announced coming up.
I hate to be right, but
they skipped it last year.
That's the way it goes.
They did skip it last year. It was
fast. This is another thing.
We had 2 fast lanes, didn't they? Was it 2 fast lanes or 2 roadblocks?
2 roadblocks, and I think the WCW.
Can we bring that up? By the way, can we bring that up about the Raw thing?
About Roadblock the Jobber in WCW?
No, I'm talking about Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Kevin Owens at the end of the show. Remember when he looked at Roman Reigns and said, "Remember." What did he say?
What did you say?
Remember Kevin.
The Alamo?
No, he said, "Remember."
The Alamo.
No, he didn't say "Remember Alamo."
What did he say?
But he said the wrong pay-per-view, and it was actually Roadblock, where he actually
botched it.
Power bombed Roman Reigns through that table.
He botched it.
So, yes.
He McFoleyed it.
Yeah.
There you have it. But
it up.
What do you think of Elimination Chamber?
They switched shit around so much that even the talent can't remember.
Do you think we'll see a title change?
That's what the Elimination Chamber is for. If they're doing it right before, that's between the Rumble and Mania, right?
One of the titles will change hands.
Okay, that's what this is for. All right, that's why they have it here, so that they can shake things up and put it right where they want it, right before the pay-per-view. Rumble winner versus whoever they need.
Yes.
I think this is where Owens drops the belt, has a hissy fit, and then his buddy might grab the belt.
The Elimination Chamber is a SmackDown.
Oh, they're not doing it's not both of them?
I don't know.
No,
it's a SmackDown, Michael.
It's a SmackDown.
It's just one?
Yes, it's just a SmackDown pay-per-view.
Shane McMahon came out.
Yeah, it's just a SmackDown pay-per-view. Shane McMahon announced it. It will be, and AJ Styles came out and complained about it.
And I was going to say, speaking of AJ Styles, I've seen a lot of chambers where the champ retains and he comes out. If it's a heel, you want to see him lose even more, so it makes him look stronger.
Yeah.
So they could do that too, and
Yeah.
have if Styles gets past Cena.
I'm with you though,
For
Greg.
one-
I wish this was a multi-promotional pay-per-view.
I love how we all keep. Well, at least you and I have.
Used to be their big
takes. Just assuming AJ Styles being the title picture. Look what he has to go through booking wise to
Yes.
It's John Cena, and now possibly
John
Elimination
Cena
Chamber's
going for once again going to tie Ric Flair, which I think is going to happen.
No.
I don't think it'll happen at the Rumble.
I think it'll happen.
I think it.
I mean, it could,
happen
but I don't know if
eventually.
it.
I don't think it's happening this next week. I think it's going to happen though.
I could see it happening at the Rumble, and I hope this doesn't happen, but I think I know the way WWE is going to book this. I think you're finally going to get that Undertaker versus John Cena match at WrestleMania.
I don't know.
I think it's long overdue.
Is it? I don't because there's never been a year where I've been like, man, I wish they would book Cena and Undertaker.
One of the 3 years that he went against Triple H, I could have done with a Cena match.
You guys are getting me going that way to where I think it's going to be a good match. I don't think it's going to be a good match.
Oh yeah,
but I think that's how WWE is going to book it.
It's a match that has to exist
Yes.
almost.
Yeah,
but
so
then
well.
again, no, there was that Sting and Undertaker have to wrestle each other. But did they really?
In their prime, I think it would have been amazing.
I think
it would have been great, but we missed that boat.
I think it would have happened if
missed
Sting
the hell
would've
out of
got
that
hurt.
boat.
Well, honestly, Sting missed that boat because he could have been there. That's on Sting.
No, man, he had to wrestle Eric Young. What are you talking about?
I think how WWE is going to book this: John Cena wins at the Royal Rumble, loses at Elimination Chamber to could be AJ Styles, could be The Miz,
We'll see.
could be who. I mean, the only problem I have with that is who could really be the champion other than John Cena and AJ Styles, the way they've been booked the past 6 months. So,
Well, in your opinion, The Miz.
I mean, and maybe if they put Samoa Joe on SmackDown, I could see that happening.
Yeah, we'll see.
So weird.
That's
So
where
weird.
Samoa Joe versus The Undertaker, like you want to see. But
I don't think they'll shotgun Joe to the belt like they did Balor. I don't think they'll do it.
New era.
Yeah.
This alleged new era.
Yeah. Which I have loved John Cena's promos since then. That's the first time I can ever say that, well, at least in the last 15 years, that I have loved a John Cena promo. I love the fact that he's that cocky veteran that's like, fuck this new era. I'm John Cena.
And the sad part about that is that sounds exaggerated, like 15 years. It's literally been 15 years. John Cena's been there.
Yeah.
He's been around forever now.
Yeah.
And it's okay now.
But
it's kind of weird because
am I
he
the
got
only
his
one?
meme status.
Am I the only one that's been a John Cena hater that loves the fact of his new promos?
No, we talked
As far
about
as
it. We
that
talked about it before.
He's embracing.
He's being a
embracing.
prick.
He's embracing that cocky. I'm the face of the company guy.
He's just he's being a cocky
So
prick.
I was never a big fan of him, but I never really got to where I hated him that much because I wanted to refrain from that because he always seemed like he was working hard.
He's working hard, but did you ever really feel like 10 years ago that he deserved the spot that he was getting?
I would have never chose to watch his matches over almost anybody else, if that's the question you're asking.
I wouldn't either, but I will say, in 2004, when Cena would first turn babyface and he was red hot and one of the brightest stars on WWE television, I would say he was ready. And when he won it at WrestleMania 21 for the first time against JBL, he was red hot. And then something happened. They cookie cutter fucking they white knighted his
They
ass.
made him PG.
Essentially, yes. Not just a mixture of things, but yes, that's the biggest about Cena.
Well, he had no competition.
One thing that I guess maybe I regret saying I just want to elaborate it on more about Sting. He could have been there. I think Vince at the end of the day would listen to people in his ear and would take Sting back then. I think Sting would have been a lot happier if he would have gone. I understand him being like loyal to Turner and all that shit, Bischoff or whatever.
He was worried about how he
Sting
would
said
be
on
handled.
camera before that he had the offer from McMahon, but he was scared.
That was later on though. I'm talking like prime Attitude Era.
No,
You're talking like
he's talking about that. He had an offer from.
No, he had an offer back then.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he chose not to take it because he was worried about how he was going to be used. He was worried about he was going to be Booker T, basically. Because Booker T, if we all remember, when that whole thing happened, Booker T was I mean, I think
I don't think he would have, though. I think that Sting was far better than Booker T in any
Well, of
form
course
of
he
Booker
was,
T.
but he
and
was
I think they would have recognized that. If he's going to look what they did for the fucking Big Show. Christ, because that's the guy. I would have taken all the
Big Show
WCW
left
guys.
before that. The Big Show was one of those guys that jumped ship before
The
the
Big
company
Show
went down
jumped.
the drain.
The Big Show jumped ship in like late '98.
Yes.
Oh.
And if you remember, the company didn't dissolve
But
until at least 2 years
it was
later.
that was the first time.
It hit the
a lot of people think
iceberg
in
by the end
98
of '98.
A lot of people think when WWE finally broke the streak of WCW kicking their ass that it was just WWE. No, '98 was essentially back and forth in the ratings all year, especially with that Goldberg stuff, hot shotting that shit on television. I think the plateau of WCW, and literally, this is controversial, and a lot of people could disagree. What killed it was the finger poke of doom. I mean, you just took a dump on your entire fans. The Halloween Havoc shit didn't help. I don't even know where we're at in the show, just because I had to clarify. Because I don't know, I was like, man, I want to talk about Sting, but there's so much show, but I just want to.
No, that's fair play.
And I'm jacked up on coffee.
I mean, we're at the
like
end of SmackDown. It's almost.
But everyone forgets the WWF's finger poke of doom. Triple H versus Shawn Michaels on Monday Night Raw.
For the European title.
Yes, sir. It was the same thing. And everybody just forgets that, and nobody talks shit about that.
I thought it was funny.
But...
of course, that one came off as funny because that company's still around. But we have to find a reason that WCW isn't around.
That was winter of '97 that happened,
That was Christmas time.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not, but see, what WCW did, WWF didn't take Steve Austin and The Undertaker and do that with the finger poke. WCW kind of did that with two of their top guys.
Yeah,
two of their top guys.
And then not only did they do that, they took
an
angle. They took an angle that you've been watching for almost 2 years, and they said it never mattered.
Shawn was the champion.
Yeah, but
Shawn was the champion at the time.
My thing was Shawn Michaels was also the European champion.
And that Triple H was China Triple H.
So what they did was they basically shit on the European title.
And the world champion.
Main event picture.
Well, the world champion laid down.
Yes, for the European title.
Oh, he did, but I mean,
I'm just like
but they were
totally it's different scenarios.
This was totally coattailed off the screw job from a month earlier, and it was you could tell it was a parody of that. That's
this
why they
would
did
be
it.
like WCW with Hulk Hogan being the world heavyweight champion. And
Nash was the champion going in. And
Hogan
saying, was supposed to quote unquote retire on this show.
But I'm just saying this would be like WCW doing that with Hogan when he's the WCW champion and the television champion. And fucking doing that for the television.
Oh yeah, he did. He didn't drop the world title. That is fair. But I mean, to also be fair, both scenarios are just two guys who are friends pulling some shit.
Yeah, but I felt like
it's
in the long
fucking
run,
wrestling, people.
Yeah, but I felt like in the long run, this diminished the WCW's main event picture. And
I can agree. It diminished it a little. It definitely did. There were little chiselings going on through the entire Attitude Era on both titles.
And in WWF, all they did was diminish the European title, which eventually got phased out anyway. Well, so they obviously realized that the European title wasn't as big as they wanted it to be, and just phased it out like that.
I'll tell you one thing.
I don't know why they didn't bring that back for the tournament. I was really kind of hoping they would.
I really like the design of the UK title, though. I think it's badass. It's way.
I do like the UK title, but it's massive.
We're gonna have to talk about rumors on some new title designs.
It reminds me of Judas Priest.
There's rumors on some new title designs for the IC belt and the US belt. So.
I cried a little when I heard that.
Well, you are right. When we come back, first of all, GRAPPLEVISION. We've gone like over an hour. It's been a hell of an episode so far.
We've been rambling. Sorry, folks, but we like to talk wrestling.
Well, we do have a hell of a lot of shows left. GRAPPLEVISION, I don't know if you can stick around, because we have like a whole lot to talk about. You've stayed on it. You've been generous enough to give us your time for so long. I don't know if you want us to let you go. If not, you're more than welcome to stick around. We come back from the first break. It's up to you, man.
I will stay. We'll go 2 out of 3 falls. I don't even care. I'm good. I'm still awake.
Demolition from SummerSlam 90.
2 out of 3 falls.
We still going.
It's never done enough.
The Iron Man run.
When we come back, we've got listener questions and a little bit of tidbits in the news. On Slam Pigs Podcast, the first promo break. Do you want to take it?
No, you said you had one ready.
Well, teaser earlier. Dr. D, Dave Schultz, one of the greatest heels I've ever seen in my life. On the Slam Pigs Podcast. We'll be right back.
The fact that you're going to be meeting the incredible Hulk Hogan in the Meadowlands for the World's Heavyweight title.
You know, when I came north, they told me there was a lot of people up here. They said there's a lot of true Americans up here. Well, there are not no Americans up here. There's not no true Americans. There's not no people that can stand up for their country, especially you, Hulk Hogan. I don't know who give you that name, boy, but where I come from, people like you that looks like you, we put them in an outhouse, we lock the door, and we feed them 3 times a day, and we don't let them be seen in public, if you know what I'm saying. What do you mean? Oh, just shut up a minute, will you? Your job is to hold this mic, baby. Don't be interrupting the doctor. Now, Hulk Hogan, you got to admit, a man with 23-inch arms and a head as big as yours and feet as long as yours has got to be classified a freak, has got to be classified as somebody not normal. I am normal. I am a true American. And when I get you in that Meadowlands, I'm going to hit you so hard, they'll catch you in California speeding, boy. And whenever they catch you, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to drive this hammer in your head, and you're going to lay down on that beach, and then when you get to walking, quit hitting my leg.
I'm
Now,
sorry,
I know you ain't got
Mr.
enough time, but I
Out
got
of
things to say.
Meadowlands on the 11th, you will sweat.
And we're back. That was Dr. D, Dave Schultz, guys. We're back with GRAPPLEVISION. Thank you once again for joining the show, Michael. What do you think, Dr. D? My God, what a fucking man's man in a way.
He was way before his time. I will say that. But he was a man after my own heart. You want to call wrestling fake, huh? Is this fucking fake?
John Stossel found
Liked
out.
it.
Indeed.
Yes.
Morton Downey Jr.
Yeah.
found out. Or the guy that was on the Morton Downey Jr.
Or the guy that cried on camera and is now a professional wrestler. It's still real to me, man.
Like
True
I said,
story. Dr. D became a bounty hunter after he left wrestling.
Yes.
So that means that Dr. D was running around with a gun hunting people.
So was Bam Bam Bigelow.
And somebody gave him that gun.
Bam
Willingly.
Bam Bam Bigelow was a
Yes.
bounty hunter.
Bam Bam was. He was a bounty hunter.
We met him.
We are back. There he is, guys. GRAPPLEVISION. Let's get to the most we've ever had on the show. A whole 4, Michael. Technically 5, but GRAPPLEVISION had a question for us. But it was.
Why don't we let him go first?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So,
What was your question?
maybe it's
for
more
the
awkward
show?
when they're actually on to ask the question than to just type it, though. I don't know.
What was his question?
I guess I could type it and send it
Type
over.
and then I'll read. No.
Yeah, that could go down.
We had another meeting.
The question that I was gonna float over was, do you guys actually think that Kurt's gonna wrestle a match with his Hall of Fame deal?
I can answer that question right now.
I'm pretty positive he's gonna get the 2K17 cover
I think
or 2K18 cover.
I think Kurt Angle's going to be in the Royal Rumble. To answer your question,
Oh
I could
shit,
see him
son.
being a surprise legend entrant, just like DDP, just like Kevin Nash, just like so many before him. I could see Kurt Angle in the Royal Rumble. Travis?
I can see Kurt Angle coming out the night after the Rumble, unannounced, as a big whoa, Kurt Angle's here, and then a match. Maybe I think he's going to wrestle and yes, I think it's going to build up to WrestleMania against person B, who I don't know. I don't know who it would be against. That is the other elephant in the room. Who would it be against, Michael?
I see. That's where I differ.
2 years ago, I want to say Rusev, but that ship feels like it sailed.
To be
2 years ago, Rusev, maybe still Rusev, but it wouldn't nearly be as sexy of a fight as it would have been 2 years ago.
Is Rusev salvageable right now?
He's just not
He's fast.
he's not the same.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's such a shame because I think Rusev could have been taken advantage of in a much better way than they've used him. I feel
He
like
could have been on Brock level.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
He was getting there for a while.
I think
they
he
had
definitely-
him almost at Brock level.
He came out in a fucking tank.
I
Like,
I definitely could see him at the main event level on Raw, but
It's going to take some time, and it's not going to be by WrestleMania, that's for sure.
This is twice now they've done this to him. They built him up like this big fucking thing,
You know what?
and they just squash him.
His other half probably isn't
first
the
time
best
was-
for his
the-
career.
The first time was to John Cena,
Mm.
and now the second time was to Roman Reigns. So, I mean, how many times can you build a guy up and then have him squashed
Well,
and still have him be relevant?
that's a whole other topic to get into. But the main question, though, about Angle, yes, I do. I don't know who the opponent is, but it builds up. to
He
WrestleMania.
will wrestle before he's in the Hall of Fame.
So I think I'm thinking so too. I really am.
Next question, Travis.
Well, that was a great question. To follow that up, here is another pretty damn good question. Who's the most overrated wrestler right now in WWE, Michael? This is from Drink Beer and Play a Game at Drink Beer and Play a Game on Twitter. Shout out to you. It's great. Check out his Let's Plays, guys.
I'll let you take this first.
The most overrated wrestler right now for me and all the WWE, based on what? Based on fan opinion? Based on what? WWE's opinion?
I mean, I could take it first if you want.
Okay, I would say based in WWE's opinion, obviously Roman Reigns, from how they're booking. He's not, the bee's knees or whatever. But in fan opinion, I would say the most overrated wrestler to me is Seth Rollins. I would say. I think his promos are way overrated. They are still very nasally and robotic for me. And that's just personal preference, probably not a popular opinion. I would say Seth Rollins. Because I don't think Ambrose is overrated, because I think a lot of people shit on Ambrose for the goofiness. So maybe you could say Dean Ambrose too. I don't know, Michael.
That would have been mine.
Sorry.
I will complete the Shield trio by saying Dean Ambrose. I think he's been the most overrated wrestler for the past year. And I think you're seeing that with the way
you just go wholesale and just say the Shield is over fucking rated.
Yeah. Well, the problem I have is maybe with Rollins. I don't think Rollins is overrated. I feel like he might have been pushed a little too soon. I definitely liked him more with the heel authority gimmick than I do as a babyface. I feel like as a babyface, he's crap.
I liked him more before he got hurt and came back, and they had to shoehorn him into whatever they were doing at the time.
Yeah, basically. There it is.
But I feel like the most overrated wrestler in the company is Dean Ambrose.
GRAPPLEVISION.
Or Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin?
How is he?
Is he on a plateau
him?
where people put him
Baron
on a
Corbin keeps putting this main event
Where
picture.
is this group of people you found?
I'm just saying, I feel like Baron Corbin keeps getting put in this main event pictures that he hasn't earned. I think
that's from WWE's
I think he's boring on a
perspective.
microphone. I think he's boring in the ring, aside from his finishing move.
No, I misunderstood you. I thought you were talking about from the fans' perspective. I was like, where are these people?
Well, no, I mean, for me, I think he's way overrated. I'm glad that he finally put a fucking shirt on, because I'm tired of watching his belly button move. But
and people rode his ass about that belly button.
Travis and I were one of them. We called him Smiley Face Belly, and now
it was brutal.
The best. Speaking of memes, Baron Corbin with Krang from Ninja Turtles in his belly was the best ever.
That was so brutal.
Yes, but now he wears a shirt. Thank God. Could you imagine if Kevin Owens didn't wear a shirt?
Oh, please no.
It's bad enough that Cassius Ohno's back, Michael. So I don't really need to see.
But
you know what? There's another one
Baron
for me,
Corbin
a big one.
Baron Corbin is my honorable mention.
Don't steal my gimmick, because the winner of my award, I'm going to go across male and female, and then the WWE obvious Roman. The male, obviously for me, Kevin Owens. The female, obvious Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks and Kevin Owens to me are just ridiculously overrated.
Someday we have got to set up our friend Erica Mart from First Thing in the Morning on the same show with GRAPPLEVISION, because he is from Montreal and he's the biggest Kevin Owens fan you can imagine.
That could be an ugly show. Both of them.
That could be a great fucking show.
Yeah, and both of them have highly watched.
They know their shit.
Channels.
Yes.
Both of you guys, you and Eric Amar Johnson, have highly watched shows on YouTube.
Oh dear.
And have you seen Ahmed Johnson lately?
No.
Fat as fuck.
I bet. But
it's been that way. He's been that way for about 20 years.
Is it more of like a Jim Cornette thing for you as far as Kevin Owens' believability?
I think there is a kind of fat guy who can win and be believable, and it works. But that fat guy has the roid belly. He has, the Iron Sheik roid belly. The Animal in 1990 roid belly.
Yeah.
The 5'10" guy with the scruffy beard and the cut off arms on his t-shirt and the fucking Walmart shorts and his socks hanging over his boot. He looks like, and I know it seems lame, but he does look like every dude in the crowd. And yeah, it is cool to have that guy be the underdog.
He's been for almost 6 months.
In a weird way.
It's okay if this is Mikey Whipwreck, but when you're trying to push this as the baddest man in the company, that doesn't fucking work.
But he hasn't been pushed that way.
In a weird way, though, you could look at it as the modern day equivalent to the Everyman, the modern day Dusty Rhodes in a way. Because look at fucking Dusty Rhodes.
But he hasn't been pushed.
I've tried to
Dusty
look
Rhodes
at it
was a
that way.
mountain of tits upon tits back in the day.
Ugh.
And
No, for
he
real,
didn't-
I have tried to look at it that
bruises.
way, and I've thought that if he were a baby face, it would be different. But then I remember he's a shit baby face.
Yep.
All right, Kevin Steen's a fucking heel. So my problem here is just that I don't know. It just feels like he's shoehorned into this. This is not the spot for
It's like
him.
you and
But
me
I'm
going
not
into being
against him.
wrestlers.
I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's a bad wrestler. I think he's totally competent. But it doesn't fucking work.
It's kind of like I would think what you think about Ambrose is what he thinks about Owens is that he's great in that IC role, but as a guy to carry it as the guy,
Not
basically.
looking like
Dude,
that.
I don't even know if I see role. I think you could put him in main events. I think you could have him go in there. But in the same way that Mick Foley can't be the fucking guy in
That's what I would say.
1999, even when he was the champion, he wasn't the guy.
True.
That's what.
It's
I would
the
say
same
Mick
thing
Foley
that-
was even better.
That led me to my next question. Who, champion-wise, who can you remember, other than The Undertaker, wearing a fucking shirt?
Mick Foley.
Oh, The Rock.
Yeah, technically, when he had his pec surgery, when he wore
His
that,
breast reduction, yeah.
When
Brand-
he wore his cut-off T-shirt.
don't say Adidas because he wore the brand with 2 stripes. It was always
Yeah, those were Walmart
Those-
sports racks.
Talk about your Walmart right there.
There you
There
go.
you have it.
Wally World sport racks.
Yeah, but guys that wore a shirt, I mean, I don't know. That's
Your champion shouldn't
really a
have to
lot.
wear a fucking shirt.
Let's not.
that
I
doesn't
mean,
bother
yeah,
me, though. I mean, to me, that
I
it's not
can
bad.
get over that if the champion, if it fucking works. And it's not a knock on Kevin because he's a good fucking wrestler. He's a really, really good fucking wrestler.
Terrible
But the
gym
role right now doesn't fucking work to be the
Yeah.
baddest man in the fucking
Terrible
company.
diet.
You guys are gonna laugh when I say this, but I'm dead serious. I think for me is the farmer's tan. He has no build to his arms, and he has a farmer's tan, and that's supposed to be your. And I have farmer's tan. I'm sure.
Looks
Look
like
my
your
shirt.
former brother-in-law.
But I'm just saying, like, the point I'm watching wrestling is to suspend my disbelief. I get
Looks like
that.
Brad.
But
When everybody else looks like a fucking superhero, but the guy at the top of the fucking company looks like the fucking cashier at Walmart, it's
Yep.
fucking weird. All right,
Like
or
that.
he looks like the guy who gets the buggies, and
Looks
that's
like
not a
Brad
fucking
Pitt,
knock on him because that's
aka
also his
Dirtface.
strength if he's a babyface.
Very good. Very good. Another question, Michael. GRAPPLEVISION from Bruno Gaspari on Twitter. Follow him out on Twitter at xbrunofgx. Bruno's question was, and this may be the hardest question I have ever had for me on the show.
Oh, well, then we should give GRAPPLEVISION it first.
Oh, oh.
Oh, yeah, I see what you did there. If you
Yeah,
had
I
the
got high blood pressure going on over
Yeah,
here.
I'm glad.
Bruno's question, because I know the anticipation's killing you, Michael. If any of us had the chance to travel back in time and watch any old match from any era, any time, what would it be
Oof.
and why?
Yeah.
Yucky. That is a hell of a fucking question. Thank you and fuck you at the same time, Bruno.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay, Larry Zbyszko's dad apparently had a match where he went into business for himself against somebody, or somebody went into business for
1 second,
himself against him.
please.
Really.
That deserved a beer open.
Larry Zbyszko's dad. Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat hearing about the living legend's father, and you did that.
I really hope you didn't pick that.
It's terrible. What happened?
He went into business for himself? What happened?
Yeah, he went. Apparently, in a match, Larry Zbyszko, he was going against a guy named, I want to say Wayne something. Somebody had this in one of the more popular top 10 lists, and I would kill for some footage of this. It would be on like Wrestling Gets Real Classic or some shit. But yeah, it's really old match of Larry Zbyszko's dad, and some guy just didn't want to do business, so Larry Zbyszko's dad decides to do business. Or it might be this guy tries to go into business for himself against Larry Zbyszko's dad and got waxed. I can't remember. I need to go back and
So
look
you
at
wanted
this,
to
but
see the shoot, basically.
yeah, they go in apparently, and it wasn't pretty. It was not a nice sight. Like, I don't know if if that really counts as like a wrestling match, but that's like going back to like the old crazy Carney days and seeing somebody try to, bulk up to one of like the old school wrestlers and seeing a dude like really get like old school really stretched publicly in a stadium. That would be a sight.
Oof.
Yeah. Also,
I don't
Stu
like it.
Hart and the Bear. Stu Hart and the Bear.
Stu
I
Hart
would
and the
watch
Bear.
all
Stu
day.
Hart and the Bear.
That was another great
That's a
video
good
about all the bear
But
fights over.
the Larry Zabisco dad thing, I
rather see,
I just can't roll with that.
I want to go back and see Tracy Smothers and the Bear. That match
That
actually happened.
Yeah, that happened when I was a kid, and I could have seen that. I was in the area that happened at, and I could have went to see it, and I didn't.
We talk about regretting something.
Yeah.
You missed Tracy Smothers and a Bear. You ought to be happy with yourself.
I was a kid. I was a foolish child.
It was probably
I should
young
have
cousins,
hitchhiked
Tracy
and become an
Smothers.
orphan.
Yeah.
Well,
that would definitely have been interesting to see some shit go down. I wonder what the atmosphere was like in the crowd. That definitely would have been some intense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's back when everybody thought it was real anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Panic and fucking chaos and good. Off the wall, but good pick.
Travis, what do you got? Your one match that you could see if you could go back in time. If you could see it live.
A lot of people would say, well, based on what? Well, for me, it's got to be just feels and nostalgia and all that good shit. It's so generic, but how can I?
Hogan and Andre.
Yes, front row. Hogan. No, and I would even say I'd be at the same show. So I'll say WrestleMania 3 as a whole. I'll cheat just to be there. I've watched that VHS as a kid so many times. One of my first memories of wrestling.
Let's see, he cheated. He took a whole show. If we can take a whole show, I'll do Heroes of Wrestling.
Oof. Ugh.
Okay.
I don't
Would have
want
been
there.
No, I could be.
You know what? Stan Lane and Tully Blanchard had a hell of a match on that.
Oh, I could still be getting a government check for PTSD if I would have went to that show.
No, with the Legends of Wrestling pay-per-view, Stan Lane and Tully tore the house down with their middle-aged and crazy match.
Heroes of Wrestling had that one match, but the rest of them were so weird. Like even the Too Cold Scorpio match was weird. He looked like one of the head shrinkers for some reason.
Yeah, he was so fat. But Julio Fantastico was terrible too.
So bad. Everyone was so bad.
Dutch Mantel and commentating also doesn't help matters.
He didn't even want to be there.
GrappleVision's taken me to a place I don't want to be ever in history wrestling. But yeah, okay, Hogan Andre. I won't say a whole show. Fuck it. I'll be a man. I'll be a fucking man like Randy Savage's album, and I'll say Hogan Andre, Michael.
Hogan and Andre, hell yeah.
Mr. Make Myself Go Last.
Not even just Randy Savage and Steamboat. You wanted that Hogan.
I wanted that Hogan Andre. Sorry. Come out. Are you gonna say Davey Boy and Brett at Wembley?
No.
Okay. What do you got?
I'm not British. So.
But you're a Brett Mark.
But
how very Brett Mark.
That would have been one of my honorable mentions, just because of the atmosphere.
Lennox Lewis.
I'm gonna go off the wall here, and people are probably gonna say, "Huh?" But my thing probably would have been 19, and I'm going with the Royal Rumble theme here.
Okay.
1994 Rumble.
Ooh.
Was that the one with Ric
Brett
Flair?
and Lex Luger going over at the same time?
You want to be there for that moment? Would you want to be in that exact moment where you'd be like, I was right there and I saw him touched?
That's exactly what I wanted.
You wanted to be that prick kid in school who all the other kids
that saw who fucking touched first.
And with your picture to prove it.
Yes, because I know it's off the wall, but it was that first time in wrestling where it was kind of like, well, who won? I mean, one of the first times. I mean, you also had that. You had that cage match.
That was the first Royal Rumble finish like that. Like the cage match had that finish, and like the old German suplex, both shoulders down finish was the thing.
It was the first Rumble where you saw.
Yeah.
That.
And the way that it happened with the Rumble and all the referees being right there, that was a great.
And then the crowd having to basically pick out who's going to be the guy that wins the belt at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's what they did. That's what happened. Like, people say it all the time now. Lex Luger, Roman Reigns is the Lex Luger of this era, the Made in the USA Luger, a failed experiment. It's not working. But back then they had competition. Now they don't. So their Vince is just going to keep being hard-headed about it.
Yep. Basically. So I mean, the crowd basically.
Do you know how scary that is?
It is.
Think of how short.
It's going to be this way until the man.
You know what would have been scarier if they would have picked Lex Luger instead of Bret Hart.
No, man. How short was the Lex Luger experiment?
Your champion for the next.
Well, the Luger experiment went from summer '93 till spring '94, so about a year. Reigns, on the other hand,
has been almost 3.5 years running.
Yes.
Yes, but I'm just saying, imagine if the crowd would have picked Luger.
If the crowd, you know what the backup match was if Brett would have lost? or Luger would have won and got past Yokozuna, it would have been Brett and Crush or something horrible.
It would have been. It was supposed to be Luger and Crush. If
Luger and Crush, sorry, which is even worse.
If Luger would have lost the coin flip for that.
By the way, not Kona. We said Kona. This is Evil Crush.
Evil Crush. Luger and Evil Crush instead of Randy Savage and Crush, which arguably might have been one of the best matches on that card.
Macho Man and Crush.
Yes.
Falls count anywhere, man. Okay, well there you have it. Hope you got what you're looking for in that stat question, Bruno. Thank you for the question. Last question, guys. Thankfully, we've hit the end of the road like boys to men from the main event melody. As always, Michael, one of our favorites. She really took the time, and I feel bad because it's a simple question answer, but she took the time to type it out, so I'll read it real quick. From Melody, do you think SmackDown is a better show due to all the stupid goofball storylines that they have, along with, for example, Ellsworth and Carmella, and the other story with Miz and Maurice / Renee?
Why didn't she mention Nikki in it?
And she put Captain Dumb Shit, a.k.a. Ambrose. She hates Ambrose. Whereas Raw is more serious and the same old crap every week. I guess I want to know, are the fans more into SmackDown more than the stupid and boring Raw? And I would say yes, SmackDown is the better show to get your short answer for your long question.
Now, Grapp, I want to point this out to you. This fan is one of our regular fans who listens to every show, and she is a huge Nikki Bella mark. So whatever you want to say about SmackDown, please leave Nikki Bella out of it because she will rip your fucking face off. But go ahead with your point of view on which show is better.
That's like putting a red button in front of me and saying don't press it. Now he's going to destroy me.
I'm just saying. I've already been on this Twitter war with her, and she won't get off the bandwagon.
Nikki Bella knows how to marry.
Yep. She's not even married.
Oh, yeah. She knows how to not marry.
He won't marry her.
Yeah. About that. But, okay. SmackDown, I think it's like I said earlier. It's the little things like not still running the exact same storyline that has never ended since 1998, and having like the talent that's on SmackDown. It's just got a different feel. The SmackDown brand as a whole has a different feel. Now with John Cena back on there, it's weird because it almost feels like John Cena is coming into a new company, as opposed to John Cena is the guy who's always been there, which is good for him. Like that's what he needs. He's been gone long enough for that to work, but I think that's the kind of thing that works for it, is because SmackDown for some reason is getting this cool pass as feeling like a new show. And it's just the little stuff like that compounding up. You know, it's not no big heel authority figures all the time, no McMahons, no I don't know, it doesn't feel like the same old shit. Even if they do the same old shit, it won't feel like it.
You know what we didn't even mention earlier? Mickey James was unmasked, by the way, this week.
That did happen.
That did happen.
To the
surprise of no one.
And I think we all know better that was not Mickey James in previous weeks.
No, that was a NXT wrestler. Anyway, just thought that was worth bringing up.
Yes.
Michael, I would assume you think SmackDown's been booked better for the most part. And
I disagree.
You don't? Okay.
I think Raw gets a bad rap because it's 3 hours. And Raw is never going to diffuse from that because WWE gets so much money from advertisements on that third hour that it'll never change. But to me, Raw is the more compelling show because it has more storylines to get entitled with rather than just 2 or 3 on SmackDown.
Wow, I totally disagree.
Well, that's fine. That's why I'm taking the side that nobody will take.
Gotcha.
I'm not taking it because
it's very martyrish of you.
It's the popular view, but I'm taking it because
it is his cross to bear.
That's fine, and that's fine. I mean, SmackDown has their world title feud with John Cena and AJ Styles that they've done, I don't know how many times. And they have
Can you really call that out when you're talking about Raw?
Yeah.
That is running the same storyline for the past 20 years.
Why is SmackDown
hasn't even been around for 20 years yet.
But why does SmackDown get a free pass? Because it does it too.
It's close. It's like, 18? Something
yeah,
like that.
I mean,
but still not.
I mean, why does
still
SmackDown
not. It's
get
the
a free
same
pass?
story.
Yeah.
because it's not the same storyline.
It is the same story.
No,
Especially
you can
since
go
the
to
brand
Monday
split.
Night Raw. You go to
Especially
Monday
since the
Night
brand
Raw in
split, it is the same
1999.
story. It is the same story, just like SmackDown. You have the same 5 guys in the same 5 spots, and I think Raw is more entertaining as a whole than
I
SmackDown
don't know. I
is.
think earlier.
Okay, are the authority figures on SmackDown beating up the talent and
No, they're
screwing them out of
sprinkled
stuff?
in. They are
No,
being
you
booked
have
how
you
they
have
should.
you have the authority figure of SmackDown wrestling the Undertaker at WrestleMania.
He wasn't the authority figure of SmackDown then. He was just Shane
Christ.
McMahon.
But I'm just saying, you have the SmackDown figure on the SmackDown team at
True.
Survivor Series.
That's
No,
So
that-
I mean,
no,
did you
that
see
did happen.
Stephanie or Triple H at Survivor Series on the Raw team?
no.
No,
No.
you saw him at WrestleMania beating Sting in his debut that everybody waited for over a decade.
Yes,
I'm sure
that was
if
a-
he could medically compete, you would have seen Mick Foley in that ring though. In the tag
Maybe.
match.
Oh, very,
But
very
it
likely.
it still doesn't make it better
No.
to me.
You
that
also saw
SmackDown's better.
Triple H
I
run
feel like-
into the
I feel like
ring and do the same
SmackDown
thing
is-
during the Rollins
feel-
deal.
I feel like SmackDown is brought to you as, well, it's a more condensed version of Raw and more entertaining, but it's not. I mean, you get more wrestling on SmackDown, but do you really get more entertainment?
Well, I feel like you're trying to sell it as SmackDown is Diet Raw, when in reality, Raw is SmackDown with way too much old water poured in it.
I'm not trying to sell it as Diet Raw. I'm trying to sell it as more compelling storylines because, and it might be unfair, but Raw has the cruiserweights.
Which has been a bust.
I think
that was a dumpster fire.
Well, I don't think I think the cruiserweights has actually come up since Neville. I think it's a more compelling storyline.
Okay, but the bad has outweighed the good in the cruiserweight though.
I mean, you could say what you want about it, but I feel like the cruiserweight division is on its way up because they're building more storylines.
Arya Daivari is not setting the world on fire.
This is what we wanted from the.
I get it.
If you want to look back 3 months ago, and no, if you want to look back 3 months ago,
I don't even know why the fuck they're on Raw, because they have their own goddamn show. Why do they even have
an hour?
They don't even need the show. I know I said earlier about the network needing stuff, but they're taping it like old WWE ECW, where the crowd was dead from the SmackDown tapings already happened.
They're so sleepy.
Yes,
They're the
but
sleepiest
Like
crowd.
I feel right now.
This is what we called for 3 months ago. We wanted the cruiserweight division to get more television time.
We're getting there.
So now you have three or
something with
yes.
it,
Now
finally.
you have 3 or 4 compelling storylines with the cruiserweight division.
I would say one. Right now.
You have
No, can we talk about the thing nobody talks about though?
Still my turn.
Will you be serious?
You have-
Let the man talk. He's a
Be
guest. You're
serious.
here every week.
Yes, but I would like to finish my point if that's all right
Oh,
with everyone.
please.
Yes, you have Neville going after the title. You also have now I'm not saying it's a good storyline.
Please don't say Jack Gallagher and Arya Daivari, because
I mean that's one of them.
Ugh.
But you also have Cedric Alexander and
that's even worse. They had to give Alicia something.
You have the
I
Alicia
guess.
Fox storyline.
And
there.
Noam Dar, one of the other most
Yes, but this
overrated
is getting more of your talent exposure. See, you're seeing it as a terrible storyline. I'm seeing it as
doing
over.
the exact opposite of what they quote unquote promised us with the Cruiserweight Classic. It'll be taken serious. This will be different. No, it's fucking not, because Alicia Fox is the main focus of a goddamn storyline.
But you're getting more people on television for that reason.
You're not. Who the fuck's tuning in to see 205 Live with Alicia Fox?
I'm not talking about 205 Live. I'm talking about Raw.
People are taking.
She's been in more video games than anybody else on that
matches
roster.
right now is the Divas piss break of Raw.
Oh,
I would say.
I think that's terrible.
Unless Neville was on. If it's anything else, people are taking a piss when Arya Daivari and Jack Gallagher comes on.
You love Jack Gallagher.
I do, and I think I don't want to see.
Basically, you're shitting on your own opinion.
No, everybody talks up
that
getting
he's
TV
being booked
time.
like shit. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
everybody talks up getting TV time. That's something that everybody likes to talk up. It doesn't matter how much fucking TV time you give somebody if you give them nothing to do.
Well, how are you supposed to get these guys over if you don't have them on TV?
Well, for instance, if you're gonna put them on TV, like a girl like Bailey, don't hand her a microphone and deer in the headlights with the Girlhood Dream
promo. They have these cruiserweights microphones, but they're giving them
play to their strengths. If you're gonna do the cruiserweight thing, have them do crazy spots and dives that they play throughout the night that are like, holy shit, remember this?
Storylines to work with,
but they're making it like
these guys aren't for storylines.
They're making this like a Superstars type show. They need to make it like like GRAPPLEVISION just said, stand it out like the X Division, like do crazy oh my god spots. Where the X Division in its prime, when TNA was actually tolerable, stood out, and it was the best part of TNA.
And then you have to have talent that can actually last through that without getting injured. So if you want that,
They have TJ Perkins was the TNA X Division
TJ
champion.
Perkins is the
there.
epitome of bland television.
But what I'm saying, TJ Perkins
Oh, he's
was in
bland
the
as all
X-Division.
get out. Don't get me wrong.
The injury,
I get
you're
it.
acting like TNA is like ECW with guys getting injured and dying and all that shit. The TNA guys didn't get hurt a lot during the X Division. They really didn't.
You can't
Go back
do
and
that
look.
shit every week on television. TNA didn't do that every week on
Jesse
television.
Sorensen, one fucking guy broke his neck. Sorry. The
Yes,
draws
but
of
I'm
TNA.
not. But TNA didn't do that every week on TV.
They
TNA
did at the time.
TNA did that on pay-per-views.
No, on their,
Which is what WWE needs to do.
Yeah.
They need to have more group matches with something at stake. Number one contendership, or if it's a title match.
Taking it more seriously.
Yes,
For title
that's
contention.
what they. But I'm saying, as a whole, Raw is more entertaining for me than SmackDown.
You know something I always liked, and people shit on 1990 WCW 91. You know something they used to do I love? They would literally talk about the power rankings and bring up like
Yeah, they give you a lot of rankings. I was gonna say
more MMA about
I used to
it.
fucking love
Yes.
that. I go back and watch.
That's not even MMA. That's just being more sport oriented.
Yes.
That means the
Have
belt
some
means
rankings.
something.
Make every
They have
match
their
mean something.
power rankings on the internet, but is that really the rankings?
You're on your YouTube.
Yes.
Fucking.
Can we
channel.
have the rankings of somebody? Hey, he beat that guy last week, so that moves him up to number 2.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's my thing. I really wish, like really wish that they would explore that so much more instead of being like, the only reason these guys are gonna fight is because somebody wants to fuck somebody's girlfriend here.
There's so much to
If-
work with a ranking system like that.
I would bludgeon a baby seal myself
Fuck seals.
if they
Go
would
ahead.
just drag out one guy and have him say, listen, I'm ranked number 8.
Yeah.
Oh, number
I wanna
6
be
to
number
get his
1.
ass out here.
Yeah.
Because I want to move up.
Not
And get
even-
number 6 out here.
Yeah, not
Now,
even
that-
number 1.
that-
Make even number 6 seem like number 1. Like you
Yep.
need to be in that 6. Like
Yep.
it's the end all
Look,
be all.
look, we need more than a main event, don't we?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so there we go. Number 6 versus number 8 in a second match on the card. See, this is not crazy. You know, it doesn't have to be a main event, but there's an angle. It wrote itself because it's wrestling, remember?
I
And
agree
guys
with
are
both of
trying
you.
to win matches and belts and trying to be
that's
champions.
something that wrestling has never had.
No, it did have that.
It did at the time.
It just stopped.
It stopped.
Fucking-
That's what I was saying. Like when WCW did it, it literally, and they would bring up like the magazine. Well, the power rankings from the magazine, and they would take that shit serious. Like
Oh, they would. Yeah, they freaked out. They would.
Ryan
They
Pillman was
put it
always
over
a
so
hot up and
huge.
comer at number 8. It seemed like Pillman is.
He lived at number 8 to 6. He broke the top 5 a couple times, but it was always 8 to 6.
Make a
The
gimmick
power
off of it.
rankings.
Mr.
Oh,
8.
I'll tell you what happened.
Mr.
Hogan.
Contender.
Mr. Contender.
No, Hogan showed up. Yeah, no more power rankings.
Oh
we
yeah,
don't need that.
that's right.
anymore.
Hogan automatically number 1.
You know, say what you want about Jim Herd. That was during the Jim Herd regime too. That power ranking shit went.
Well, they were around
I
before
wouldn't
and
be
after.
opposed to it.
Yeah.
I would not be
Even-
opposed to it because you see it on your video
Even
games.
Jim Herd knew
Yeah.
that you don't need to take away the power rankings.
Even
you
a guy
see
that
it-
used to run Pizza Huts.
You see it on all your WWE games. Why can't we see it on television?
Oh no, it's on their website.
Yes, their power rankings.
But who gives a shit to? I mean, who can be fucked to go to the website and sit there and go? It's like when people played that game Destiny. It's like, yeah, let me go get the story off of the website as I pick up these. No, fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay, show me the rankings on the TV. Explain how important it is. Explain that this is wrestling, and that these belts aren't just fucking fruit roll-ups with shit been rolled up on them that's all shiny. And explain that it matters.
It is the snack era. You got Pop-Tart power bombs and fruit roll-up titles, and it's making me hungry.
Yeah.
Guys, speaking of getting hungry,
Pop-Tart power bombs,
it
huh?
has been a
What
hell.
flavor?
Whatever you want it to be.
What flavor Pop-Tart do you like?
Sure.
S'mores. You got to go with
Flavor.
s'mores. Because the graham cracker fucking crust, man. You get it all on the s'mores Pop-Tarts. The whole shebang. Strawberry. Shout out to strawberry.
Good choice.
Those are great.
Hey, I got to thank you so much, GRAPPLEVISION, for coming on the show. This has definitely been one of my favorite episodes by far. You definitely know your shit.
Finally
He's
got a knowledgeable
No, it's
guest.
been awesome.
definitely a good dude, guys. Check him out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button for him and his ever so popular channel. One more time, where can everyone check you out on Twitter, my man?
I'm at Tonka Saw at Twitter, TONKASAW. And
In case nobody knows how to spell.
It has been as legit as a Destructo disc to have you on, man, and I'd love to have you back on in the future sometime.
I would love
yeah, it's been a
to
great
have you
time.
back
Totally
on
love
the
to come
future.
back.
You're my first guest that I have not had to really make fun of.
To be all Dr. D about.
Yeah.
Get on.
He knows his
Oh.
shit. He
Well.
answered my fan question.
And when you get home later or tomorrow, whatever, you need to check out his videos more because they're definitely. Like, I wouldn't recommend it if it wasn't. Not to keep.
I mean,
sounding
I'll
generic.
get on it. But
I
I'm
try
like
my hardest to not make trash.
Look, I'm like Heath Slater. I got kids. So I got to take my free time
He needed a
wisely.
woman.
Yeah, I got to take my free time wisely. I got 2 kids and a wifey, and I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I got to take my nap times wisely.
Well, I try to keep some of them to under 10 minutes.
All right.
So,
There you have it.
compact
show
for the
does
dad
not
on
do
the
that.
go there.
This
Yeah.
show does not do that. We keep it going.
Yeah, I don't think we did that.
We are the Flair Steamboats
Do you
of
think that's
podcast.
the biggest downfall of this show? Are we too long?
There's no downfalls. Don't even
No.
say that word. We don't live negatively. We are positively page up in this bitch.
Don't say it.
Guys, once again, thank you, GRAPPLEVISION. Michael, 41's in the books, man.
41. Time to do a little.
Next week is our 4-man booth Royal Rumble post show.
Hey, you dirty fucking pigs. Mike here from the Slam Pigs Podcast, reminding you once again to check us out on Twitter, whether it be the Slam Pigs Podcast, whether it be me at Mike the Slam Pig, or whether it be our sister show, The Reset Button. Check us out. Also, you can find us on Facebook at the Slam Pigs Podcast or The Reset Button. And as always, make sure you check us out as a whole on Hibiki TMD. Until we see you next time, oink oink.